Chapter 2973. After breakfast, Qin Feiyang looked at the emperor and Lu Qiuyu, and said, "Father, mother, when we reach the Sea of Despair, what should I do?" "You? You don't have to do anything. When the time comes, your mother and I will talk to you," the emperor said. "That's good." Qin Feiyang laughed. "What's wrong? Nervous?" the emperor asked with a smile. Qin Feiyang nodded. "Useless." The emperor shook his head in disdain and said, "We have to be more formal when proposing marriage. Your mother and I will go and pack up first." "All right," Qin Feiyang responded. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying aura appeared outside. Qin Feiyang hurriedly walked out and saw a group of people standing in the sky in an orderly manner, all dressed in black armor, looking extremely heroic. "You guys?" Qin Feiyang looked at these people in a daze. "Your Highness, it's us," one of them said. When Qin Feiyang heard this voice, he smiled and said, "Xiaoyuan, what are you guys doing? I almost couldn't recognize you. Aren't you going to propose marriage? We're going to cheer for you. Look, we're not bad, right?" Xiaoyuan said. "Cheer?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "That's right. You said last night that we should go and cheer for you, so we started preparing early in the morning." Xiaoyuan nodded. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. "I drank too much and forgot. Then do you think we can do this?" Xiaoyuan asked. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. 54 divine generals were going to cheer for him. This was a great honor. This kind of battle was also unprecedented in history. Swish! This time, Qin Badian, Qin Yuan, Lu Zhongyang, Emperor Hong, Emperor Chan, Elder Qin, Li Jian, Qin Shang, and the others also appeared one after another. All of them were also dressed up. "Ancestor, great-grandfather, grandfather, what are you guys doing?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "Proposing marriage for you," Qin Badian said. "You guys are going to?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Of course. You are the most promising descendant of the Qin clan. For your marriage, we must take care of it ourselves," Qin Badian said. "There's no need for that. Xiaoyuan and the others go. If all of you go there, you'll scare the mer people," Qin Feiyang said. "What do you know? This is the highest etiquette. It also represents the importance we place on the mermaid race. Understand? We haven't been back for so many years. We also want to visit the merfolk clan," Qin Badian stated. "That?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Putting everything else aside, the first-generation mermaid emperor, black-winged emperor, and white-winged emperor should show the best etiquette. "What about master?" Qin Feiyang asked. Qin Badian said with a smile, "Their family went to play. Don't worry about them." "Of course I'm not worried about them." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. What a joke. One was at the perfection undead stage, the other was at the half-step undead stage. Yi Shui'er and Old Master Yi were also weak. Who in the Great Qin and Forgotten Continent could hurt them? Whoosh! This time, Zhao Tailai and the others, White-Eyed Wolf and a group of beasts, Fatso, Ling Yunfei and the others also ran over. "Are you done?" "Yes, let's go," White-Eyed Wolf roared, looking more anxious than Qin Feiyang. "I'm the one proposing marriage. Why are you so anxious?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. "I'm anxious for you. It wasn't easy for you to be enlightened. What if you accidentally become stupid again?" White-Eyed Wolf despised. Qin Feiyang's mouth couldn't help but twitch. Zhao Tailai smiled and said, "Brother Wolf is exasperated. Old Zhao knows me well." White-Eyed Wolf sighed. "Get lost." Qin Feiyang glared at White-Eyed Wolf and looked inside. After a while, accompanied by steady footsteps, the emperor and his wife came out. The emperor was wearing a golden robe and a golden crown on his head. It wasn't a dragon crown or a dragon robe, but it still looked noble and gorgeous. Lu Qiuyu was the same. She was wearing a long dress embroidered with a divine phoenix, exuding a noble temperament. "Let's go." The emperor smiled slightly. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the space-time gate opened. A group of people walked in. "Feiyang, isn't this too grand?" Mermaid Princess looked at everyone and said suspiciously, "Didn't the ancestors say that the grand ceremony represents their respect to the mermaid clan? Let's not bother about it. Let them be. As long as they're happy." Qin Feiyang smiled and pulled Mermaid Princess towards the space-time gate. Mermaid Princess pondered for a moment and said, "No, this marriage proposal, should I go back first?" Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned and shook his head. "I don't know." Mermaid Princess said, "Then why don't you wait for a while and I go back first? There's no need to go through so much trouble. Look, father and the others didn't say anything. Forget it, let's not care about these red tape. As long as your father agrees to marry you to me, it's fine." Qin Feiyong smiled. Mermaid Princess nodded. The Sea of Despair. It was as cold as ever. Wisps of white cold mist floated on the surface of the sea. Clang! Suddenly, accompanied by an earth-shaking loud noise, the void above the sea immediately began to shake. What's going on? This loud noise immediately alarmed the mermaid clan. A group of mermaids with steel forks rushed out of the sea and looked at the sky in surprise. The next moment, a magnificent door opened in the sky. "Quickly report to the Mermaid Emperor, Black-Winged King, and White-Winged King that a mysterious stone door has appeared above our Sea of Despair." The leader of the mermaids roared. Yes, a mermaid immediately jumped into the sea and disappeared. Suddenly, a mermaid next to him looked at the stone door and said suspiciously, "Boss, why does this stone door seem a little familiar?" Familiar? The leader of the mermaids was stunned and looked at the stone door again. "You don't say, it really is a little familiar." Before the group of mermaids could think about it, a terrifying aura emerged from the stone door. One by one, black-armored men walked out of the stone door like a well-trained army. Who are these people? This aura is even more terrifying than the Mermaid Emperor and the others. No, even Ling Yunfei and the others can't compare with these people. The group of mermaids was very surprised. Ling Yunfei had been living in the spirit state and would visit the Sea of Despair during festivals, so the mermaid clan was very familiar with Ling Yunfei and Ling Yunfei's cultivation strength. But now, the aura these people exuded was many times more powerful than Ling Yunfei's. They were like gods descending to the mortal world, making them tremble uncontrollably. That's right. The first people to appear were Xia Yuan and the other 54 immortal generals. As masters of the initial imperishable realm, how could these mermaids withstand their aura? This was under their control. If they didn't control it and release their aura, these warriors, masters, and ancestral warriors would instantly explode and die. Boom! This matter. The Mermaid Emperor, Black-Winged King, and White-Winged King rushed out of the sea anxiously. When they saw Xia Yuan and the others, their expressions changed drastically. "What's going on?" Black-Winged King asked. "I don't know. They all came out from that door," one of the mermaids said. "What door?" The three of them were surprised. "It's the door behind them." A group of people pointed behind Xia Yuan and the others. The Mermaid Emperor and the others looked up and saw a stone door shining with divine light behind Xia Yuan and the others. That is, the three of them were stunned. What? The mermaids looked at the three of them in surprise. "That seems to be the space-time door," the Mermaid Emperor exclaimed. "The space-time door?" Everyone was stunned. In the blink of an eye, at this moment, more figures walked out of the space-time door. The leader was the Emperor and Lu Qiuyu. Aren't they the Emperor and Empress of Great Qin? Seeing the couple appear, the mermaid clan was in an uproar. Black-Winged King looked at the Mermaid Emperor and asked, "Old man, are they your in-laws?" "Yes." The Mermaid Emperor nodded. Black-Winged King was stunned. "Then what are they doing? Why are they making such a big scene?" "I don't know." The Mermaid Emperor shook his head, his face full of doubts. "Wait, wasn't this space-time door Qin Feiyong's divine item? How could it be in the hands of the Emperor? Could it be that Qin Feiyong gave it to the Emperor when he left last time?" The Mermaid Emperor was about to go up and greet them, but at this moment, his gaze suddenly shook as he looked at the person who came out of the space-time door. This person was Emperor Hong. Then, Emperor Chun appeared. Then Li Jian, Old Qin, Qin Yuan, Qin Shang, and the others appeared one after another. The Mermaid Emperor was completely stunned. What the hell was going on? Even Emperor Hong, Emperor Chun, these peerless figures came in person. Even Qin Yuan had come. Others might not know, but he knew that Qin Yuan was the person Qin Feiyong respected the most. And he was the guardian of this continent. It was difficult for others to see him, let alone come to his Sea of Despair. Did something big happen? The mermaid emperor was shocked and quickly flew up. But suddenly, he stopped again and looked at the two people who came out of the space-time door. His eyes were full of surprise. The two were Qin Batian and Lu Zhengyang. Lu Zhengyang was a stranger to him. It was during these years when he visited the Lu family during the holidays, he saw Lu Zhengyang's statue. But Qin Batian's statue was erected in the mermaid clan's holy land. He could see it every day, so he was naturally familiar with it. And the person in front of him was exactly the same as the statue in the Holy Land. He was Qin Batian, the Emperor of Qin. Was this a dream? Wasn't the Emperor of Qin in the ancient world? When did he come back? The Emperor of Qin, these two words, that was the legend of the Great Qin. The founding Emperor of the Great Qin. And the master of the first mermaid emperor of the mermaid clan, the black-winged emperor, and the white-winged emperor followed. That was a man full of legends. Not only the mermaid emperor, the black-winged emperor, the white-winged emperor, and even all the mermaids present were dumbfounded, staring at Qin Batian. They were all wondering if their eyes were playing tricks on them. It was simply unbelievable. Chapter 2974. At the same time, Qin Batian glanced at the sea of despair with a hint of nostalgia in his eyes. In his nostalgia there was a hint of sadness. Whoosh! After Qin Batian and Lu Zhengyang appeared, Zhao Tailai, Ling Yunfei, and the others, as well as the white-eyed wolf and a group of beasts, appeared one after another. Wolf cub, Blood Kirin, Golden Panther, Zhao Tailai. Looking at those familiar figures, the mermaid emperor's eyes trembled. Could it be? In the next moment, a man and a woman walked out of the space-time gate hand in hand. It's the princess. It's Prince Feiyang. The mermaid clan was immediately in an uproar. The mermaid emperor, white-winged king, and black-winged king also looked at the two in surprise. Father! The mermaid princess shouted and immediately let go of Qin Feiyang. In a flash, she landed in front of the mermaid emperor. Daughter, is it really you? The mermaid emperor looked at his daughter in front of him in disbelief. It's me. The mermaid princess nodded. That's great. The mermaid emperor grabbed the mermaid princess's hand and said, Look, it's only been 10 years, and you've become thinner. Really? The mermaid princess was stunned. Of course. Father, you're old, but your eyes are still sharp. How did Qin Feiyang take care of you? The mermaid emperor said angrily. Father, don't talk nonsense. Feiyang is very good to me. The mermaid princess lowered her head. A grown girl can't be kept at home. The mermaid emperor shook his head and looked at Qin Batian and the others. He asked suspiciously, what's going on? This. The mermaid princess blushed and hesitated before saying, let Feiyang and the others tell you. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also put away the space-time gate and looked at the mermaid emperor with a trace of anxiety in his eyes. What are you afraid of? The white-eyed wolf looked at him with disdain. He stared at the mermaid emperor and shouted, Father-in-law, we are here to propose marriage. Ugh! Qin Feiyang was stunned. The emperor and the others were stunned. This was too direct. Couldn't they be more reserved? Marriage proposal? In the meantime, the mermaid emperor and the others looked at each other. You may leave. Qin Batian smiled. Immediately, 54 divine generals cleared the way and flew down in a grandiose manner. After going down, the 54 divine generals spread out in all directions. They stood on the surface of the sea and looked straight ahead. Qin Feiyang and the others stood in the center. The emperor stepped forward and looked at the mermaid emperor. He cupped his hands and said, I hope I didn't startle you. I was really scared. The mermaid emperor smiled bitterly and bowed. Greetings, Your Majesty and Empress. You're welcome. The emperor and his wife hurriedly waved their hands. Now that he was here to propose marriage, how could he put on airs? Your Majesty, Empress, these two. The mermaid emperor immediately looked at Qin Batian. Without waiting for the couple to speak, Qin Batian nodded and smiled. Yes, I am Qin Batian and this is the ancestor of the Lu family, Lu Zhengyang. Greetings, Emperor Qin. Greetings, Lord Lu. The mermaid emperor trembled and hurriedly knelt on the surface of the sea and bowed. The black-winged monarch, the white-winged monarch, and the other mermaids also knelt. Don't. We're all family, why are you being so polite? Qin Batian hurriedly helped the mermaid emperor up and looked at the black-winged monarch and the others. Quickly get up. The people of the Merfolk clan didn't expect that this legendary mythical figure would be so amiable, and they relaxed a lot. Uncle. Qin Feiyang also stepped forward and bowed under the emperor and his wife's signal. The mermaid emperor was angry when he saw Qin Feiyang. He said angrily, "You brat, if you want to propose marriage, so be it. Why do you have to make such a big fuss? I thought someone was going to attack the mermaid clan. They were the ones who wanted to come here." Qin Feiyang scratched his head. The mermaid emperor looked at Xia Yuan and the other 54 people and asked, "Who are they?" "They're all subordinates of the ancestor," Qin Feiyang said. "I see, no wonder they're so scary." The mermaid emperor nodded and asked suspiciously, "When did you guys come back?" "The day before yesterday," Qin Feiyang said. The mermaid emperor was speechless. "You came back the day before yesterday, and now you're here to propose marriage. You're too impatient." Qin Feiyang laughed dryly. The mermaid emperor shook his head and smiled. He looked at Qin Batian and the others and said, "Thank you for your hard work, everyone. Let's go down and have a chat." "Okay." Qin Batian nodded. The mermaid emperor immediately pulled the mermaid princess into the sea and flew to the bottom of the sea. "You guys stay outside." Qin Batian looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and instructed them. Then he led Qin Feiyang and the others into the underwater city. "There's actually such a big city at the bottom of the sea?" The big black wolf and the 3 black leopard brothers scanned the bottom of the sea with a look of surprise. "What's this? There are still many treasures here," the white-eyed wolf said. "What treasures?" The big black wolf's eyes suddenly lit up. "Don't worry, I'll take you guys for a stroll later." The white-eyed wolf smiled sinisterly. Okay. The big black wolf and the 3 black leopard brothers nodded repeatedly. At the same time, the mermaid emperor led the way and said with a smile, "Emperor Qin, I really didn't expect that I would be able to see your true appearance in my lifetime." Qin Batian smiled and said, "I'm not a big shot, so there's no need for that." "If you're not a big shot, then who is? Let's talk about it later. If it weren't for you, our mermaid race would have long been extinct. You're not only the founding emperor of Great Qin, but also the benefactor of our mermaid race." The mermaid emperor said. "Yes." The black-winged monarch and the white-winged monarch nodded in agreement. "You're too polite." Qin Batian smiled slightly. Soon, the group of people entered the underwater city and immediately caused a huge uproar. Everyone looked at Qin Batian with eyes full of surprise and shock. "Little Qin Zi, let's go for a stroll," the white-eyed wolf said and ran away with a group of beasts. "Don't mess around," Qin Feiyang hurriedly shouted. "It's okay. Let them play. It's just a small place. They can't cause any trouble." The mermaid emperor smiled and led everyone into a palace. He said respectfully, "Emperor Qin, please take a seat." No, you're the master here. How can I steal the limelight?" Qin Batian waved his hand. "What do you mean by stealing the limelight? The entire Great Qin is yours, not to mention the Sea of Despair. If you're so polite, then you're treating us as outsiders," the mermaid emperor said. Qin Batian shook his head and laughed. "Then it would be impolite for me to refuse." Of course, the mermaid emperor said. In the end, everyone else sat down, and only Qin Feiyang remained standing. This was the emperor couple's intention. After all, they were here to propose marriage. Only by standing could they show their sincerity. Qin Batian swept his gaze over the surroundings before looking at the mermaid emperor. "When we were in the ancient world, Feiyang and the others already told me about the situation of the mermaid race. Thank you for your hard work, and thank you for always protecting the Great Qin. Emperor Qin, you're too polite. This is what I should do." The mermaid emperor waved his hand. After chatting for a while, Qin Batian smiled and said, "Then let's get back to business. This time, I'm here to see the mermaid race and also for these 2 children." Qin Feiyang glanced at Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess. Then, he looked at the mermaid emperor and continued, "These 2 children have been in love with each other since they were young. It's time to settle their matter." Hearing this, the mermaid emperor also glanced at Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess. He smiled and said, "To be honest, when they came back last time, I wanted them to settle this matter. Speaking of this, the mermaid emperor sighed again and said, "But as you know, the young people nowadays are different from us, the older generation. We can't control their thoughts, so we've been dragging it out." "Yes." Qin Badian nodded. Lu Chuyu smiled and said, "So you won't object?" "Why would I object? Fei Yong is such an outstanding child. It's my daughter's fortune to be able to marry him. Let's talk about it later." Initially, the Mermaid clan and your Qin clan share a deep relationship. Their union is destined by the heavens. Moreover, with my daughter's temper, what use is there for me to object? The Mermaid Emperor shook his head and smiled bitterly. Mermaid Princess and Qin Feiyong looked at each other and smiled. It was going smoothly beyond their imagination. Qin Batian and the Emperor couple were also overjoyed. To be honest, I watched Feiyong grow up. Whether it's a person or a way of doing things, he's good. What I admire the most is that he's responsible and responsible. I believe that my daughter will be happy with him. The Mermaid Emperor smiled. If that's the case, then let's choose a date for their wedding, Qin Badian said. The Mermaid Emperor said, "It's all up to you, Your Majesty. How can I make the decision?" Qin Batian shook his head and looked at the Mermaid Emperor and the Emperor couple. He smiled and said, "You are their parents. This is for you to decide. As for me, I'll just wait for the wedding banquet." "We definitely won't forget you." Lu Chuyu smiled and said, "Then you guys discuss. I'll go to the Holy Land to take a look." Qin Badian got up and smiled. The Mermaid Emperor hurriedly said, "Then I'll get someone to bring you there." "No need." Qin Badian waved his hand and smiled. "I'm quite familiar with this place. I'll go take a look too." Lu Jingyang got up and said, "Let's leave too," Ling Yunfei said. That moment, everyone left the hall one after another. The Black-Winged King and the White-Winged King also left. Soon, only the Mermaid Emperor, the Emperor couple, Qin Feiyong and the Mermaid Princess were left. The Mermaid Emperor looked at Qin Feiyong and the Mermaid Princess and said with a smile, "You guys have a seat too." Qin Feiyong looked at the Emperor couple. "Why are you looking at us? Your father-in-law has already spoken. How dare we not let you sit?" The Emperor joked. Qin Feiyong scratched his head and pulled the Mermaid Princess to sit together. "Right." The Mermaid Emperor suddenly seemed to have thought of something. Looking at Qin Feiyong and the Mermaid Princess, he asked, "Why don't I see the ancestors?" The ancestors he mentioned were naturally the first Mermaid Emperor, the Black-Winged King and the White-Winged King. The Mermaid Princess immediately looked at Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong's heart couldn't help but tremble. "That's right. Since we came back, we haven't seen them. You guys didn't seem to have mentioned them either?" The Emperor couple also looked at Qin Feiyong and Lu Zhongyang suspiciously. Chapter 2975. Seeing that the Emperor and his wife were also curious, the Mermaid Princess transmitted her voice, "What should we do?" Qin Feiyong thought for a while, looked at the three of them and said, "They are still in the ancient world." "Why are they still in the ancient world?" The three of them were puzzled. The battle has just ended, so they need to take charge of the situation and maintain order in the ancient world. Qin Feiyong smiled. "I see." The three of them nodded in realization. "You don't have to worry. Now that the ancient world is peaceful, there won't be any danger. Besides, with their strength, no one will be able to injure them," Qin Feiyong said. "That's good." The Mermaid Emperor nodded and said with a smile, "If that's the case, then wait for them to come back before you get married." "Wait for them to come back?" Qin Feiyong and the Mermaid Princess were stunned. "Yes, we're a family. We have to be complete, right?" The Mermaid Emperor chuckled. "No need. Because before we left, the three old ancestors said that we don't have to wait for them," the Mermaid Princess said. "Why?" The Mermaid Emperor was puzzled. "Father, you don't know how big the ancient world is. The battle with the dragons almost affected the entire ancient world. It will take at least a few thousand years to completely calm down. Therefore, the three old ancestors will take at least a few thousand years to come back. Actually, Feiyong and I don't mind waiting for a few thousand years. But you guys," the Mermaid Princess looked at the three of them. "A few thousand years?" The Emperor was stunned and shook his head. "How can we do that? I want to have a grandchild now." In-law, why don't we not wait then? Of course. We respect your opinion. If you want to wait, we will wait. Lu Qiuyu looked at the mermaid emperor and smiled. A few thousand years. The mermaid emperor shook his head and smiled bitterly. How could he afford to wait? He was also waiting to hold his grandchild. The mermaid princess said, why don't we wait then? A few thousand years will pass soon anyway. It will be over soon? The mermaid emperor looked at the mermaid princess, speechless. To a mortal, this was something that had happened in dozens of lifetimes. The mermaid emperor waved his hand and said, no need, no need. After a few thousand years, I might have already died. Father, what are you saying? You will definitely live a long life. The mermaid princess said angrily. Yes, yes, yes. The mermaid emperor nodded and said with a smile, then hurry up and give birth to a fat little boy for me to play with. What? Play? Qin Feiyang was stunned. The mermaid emperor was taken aback. He hurriedly explained, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. What I meant was that if I had a grandson, I could play with him while I still have the strength. You're saying this again. The mermaid princess shook her head. The mermaid emperor said, what's wrong with that? I'm already old. Actually, that wasn't the case. After Qin Feiyang left behind the crystal vein and spirit vein here, the cultivation environment here was no longer the same as before. The mermaid emperor's cultivation base had also improved by leaps and bounds. As his cultivation base improved, his lifespan would also be extended without limit. In fact, it was just one sentence. He wanted to have a grandson. Next, Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess also went out, leaving the three of them to slowly discuss. Thank you. On the street, Qin Feiyang held the mermaid princess's hand and said in a low voice, thank me for what? The mermaid princess looked at him suspiciously. Thank you for lying for me. Qin Feiyang said, I'm not doing it for you. I'm also doing it for father and the others. I don't want them to worry. The mermaid princess said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said to himself, I have to tell the ancestors and the white-eyed wolf about this. Don't let it slip. And the mermaid princess nodded. Your Highness Feiyang. Along the way, they met many mermaids who greeted the two of them warmly. At noon, everyone also stayed at the mermaid clan to enjoy a meal of delicacies. These so-called delicacies were rarely seen outside, but in the mermaid clan, they were equivalent to radishes and cabbages outside. After enjoying a good meal, the emperor and his wife proposed to leave, and they had already set the date of the wedding. It would be 3 days later. In other words, in 3 days the mermaid princess would officially become Qin Feiyang's wife. This was what Qin Feiyang was looking forward to, and also what the mermaid princess was looking forward to. Of course, the happiest person was actually Qin Yuan, because he had watched Qin Feiyang grow up. He had always treated Qin Feiyang as his own grandson. As a grandfather, how could he not be happy to see his grandson get married and have children? After saying goodbye, everyone left the Sea of Despair. The mermaid princess stayed in the Sea of Despair. After all, this was the rule. How could an unmarried girl always stay in the man's house? This was inappropriate. On the surface of the sea, Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess stood face to face. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, wait for me to marry you. The mermaid princess nodded, her face full of happiness. Then I'll go back first. Don't miss me too much these few days. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Who would miss you? The mermaid princess's face was red. Looking at the mermaid princess's ripe apple-like cheeks, Qin Feiyang's heart immediately surged uncontrollably. You're so beautiful. He leaned close to the mermaid princess, smelled her body fragrance, and couldn't help but kiss her. Butterfly Valley. When Qin Feiyang bid farewell to the mermaid princess and rushed here, only Ling Yunfei and Fatso were left. The others had already been released back to Great Qin. What are you still doing here? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Waiting for you, Ling Yunfei said. Fatso said with a sneaky smile, boss, when we just left the Sea of Despair, I stole a glance at you guys. You guys even kissed. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched and said, we're open and above board. Why would we be afraid of you looking? Of course we're not afraid. I just want to say, do you want me to impart some experience to you? Fatso laughed sinisterly. Qin Feiyang's face instantly darkened. Boss, to be honest, I'm not as good as you in cultivation, but in this aspect I'm still very experienced. Fatso said. Get lost. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at him, looked at the two of them and asked, why are you guys waiting for me here? We just want to ask you, is it time for Qin Li's training to end? Ling Yunfei said. Qin Li, Qin Feiyong muttered. Of course he remembered this person. It was one of his younger brothers. Back then, Qin Li had bad intentions. In a fit of anger, he expelled him from the imperial capital, asked Li Jian to send him to the 9 provinces, and ordered him not to return to the imperial capital within 5 years. Where is he now? Qin Feiyong asked. Ling Yunfei said, in the inner hall. Didn't I say that he can't return to the imperial capital within 5 years? It's been more than 10 years now. Why doesn't he go back by himself? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. We also talked to him. He said that he can't go back before you get your forgiveness. Ling Yunfei shook his head. My forgiveness? Qin Feiyong was stunned and said with a smile, is my forgiveness that important? Of course. For your younger brothers and sisters, you are a god in their hearts. Ling Yunfei said. Qin Feiyong said, so, he hasn't gone back for more than 10 years? Yes. It's all uncle and aunt who came to see him in person. Ling Yunfei nodded. Then how is he now? Qin Feiyong asked. The hardships over the years have played a big role in him. Ling Yunfei said. Qin Feiyong pondered for a while and said, okay, you go and bring him here. I have to test him. Test? Ling Yunfei and Fatso were stunned. I have to know whether he is sincerely repentant or pretending. After all, some people are very good at pretending. Qin Feiyong said. Then how are you going to test him? The two were suspicious. Qin Feiyong thought for a while and whispered a few words in their ears. Hearing this, the two were slightly stunned, and then couldn't help but shake their heads. After saying that, he opened the portal and left. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and then the portal landed in front of a row of courtyards and quietly waited for Qin Li. These courtyards were naturally where Yan Nanshan and the others lived. But now, everyone was in the imperial palace, so now there was no one here. More than 10 years passed. Except for everything becoming more ancient than before, there were not many changes. Time passed by breath. About a few hundred breaths. Whoosh! A young man appeared in the sky above the Butterfly Valley, looking quite nervous. He was Qin Li. But Ling Yunfei and Fatso did not appear. After so many years, Qin Li's temperament was completely different from before. In the past, only arrogance could be seen in him. But now, it had been restrained and replaced by calmness. Qin Feiyong naturally sensed Qin Li's aura immediately and looked up at him. From the temperament that Qin Li was showing now, there was indeed a big change. But he just didn't know if this was the real side. Qin Li glanced at the Butterfly Valley, and a trace of suspicion gradually crept into his nervous expression. Where was he? Wasn't he in the Butterfly Valley? Why didn't he see him? I'm here, Qin Feiyong said. Qin Li immediately looked in the direction of the voice, and when he saw Qin Feiyong standing in front of the courtyard, his pupils suddenly shrank. It was a trace of instinctive fear. Qin Feiyong said with a faint smile, do you want me, a cripple, to keep looking up at you while talking? A cripple? Qin Li was slightly stunned, and landed in front of Qin Feiyong in surprise, and then sized up Qin Feiyong. Where are Ling Yunfei and Fatso? Qin Feiyong asked with a smile. Qin Li said, they have to go to the Iron Ox town for something, and said they will only return at night. Qin Feiyong nodded and said, how have you been these years? Not bad. Qin Li nodded and frowned. What about your cultivation? These years in the battle in the ancient world, although I won in the end because of serious injuries, I lost all my cultivation, and even my soul was damaged. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Lost all my cultivation. Qin Li's gaze trembled slightly. What? Looking at me now, do you want to kill me to wash away your shame? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Qin Li looked slightly flustered. To be honest, at this moment he did have such a thought. However, looking at the current Qin Feiyong, he couldn't help but admire and sympathize with him. Chapter 2976. Qin Feiyong said, if you really want to make a move, take advantage of the fact that there's no one else around and do it quickly. Qin Li's heart was in a mess and he frowned. Aren't you afraid of death? Qin Feiyong laughed. Now that the ancient realm and the great Qin are at peace, it doesn't matter if I die. It doesn't matter, Qin Li muttered and asked, could it be that in your heart, you only have the common people in the world? Qin Feiyong said, I'm not that great, I just don't want to see the common people suffer. Qin Li lowered his head and remained silent. Suddenly, he took a step forward and arrived in front of Qin Feiyong, his gaze becoming incomparably sharp. Qin Feiyong's expression remained indifferent from the beginning, but soon after, Qin Li actually knelt in front of Qin Feiyong with a plop and said, Big brother, I respect you. You are a man, and you will always be my big brother. Qin Feiyong was slightly startled. It was a little unexpected. Then, Qin Li stood up and reached out to support Qin Feiyong. His eyes became gentle and he smiled. Big brother, let's go home. In the past you protected us, but now let us protect you. Hearing these words, Qin Feiyong was immediately gratified. After more than 10 years of tempering, this younger brother had finally changed completely. Haha, it was also at this moment, accompanied by loud laughter, Fatso and Ling Yunfei appeared out of thin air. You guys? Qin Li looked at the two of them in astonishment. Fatso teased. You're still protecting him, kid. Do you really think your big brother is crippled? Qin Li was stunned, and immediately turned his head, looking at Qin Feiyong in surprise. Qin Feiyong smiled slightly, took out a divine-level spirit sea pill and swallowed it. What's going on? Qin Li was puzzled. Your big brother is testing you, to see if you have completely changed your ways. And obviously your performance has satisfied him. Ling Yunfei said. Testing me? Qin Li stared blankly at the three of them. Qin Feiyong said apologetically, It's my fault. I've been used to fighting and scheming against each other. I don't even trust my own brother. Qin Li finally recovered and said with a wry smile, Big brother, your scheme is really deep. If I don't trick you, how would I know what you're really thinking? Ling Yunfei chuckled and said, It's great now. You siblings are finally reunited. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded. He looked at Qin Li and smiled. I am very happy that you have turned over a new leaf. I will not treat you unfairly. I will send you to the Black Tortoise world now. Black Tortoise world. Qin Li's eyes suddenly lit up. Although he had been in the spiritual state, he knew about Qin Haotian, Qin Yun, Lu Xiaofei and Situ Feiyang. It was because he had entered the Black Tortoise world that his cultivation had become so strong. Therefore, he had longed to enter the Black Tortoise world for a long time. Work hard. The future of the great Qin depends on you guys. Qin Feiyong smiled slightly. Depends on us? Qin Li was slightly stunned and asked suspiciously, Didn't you come back? Me? Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. He did not explain and sent Qin Li to the Black Tortoise world. Fatso asked, Boss, if Qin Li really attacked you before, what would you do? What do you think? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and entered the underground stone room. He opened the teleportation altar and returned to the imperial capital. Fatso pondered for a while, then turned to look at Ling Yunfei and said, I'm afraid I'll really kill him. Do you still need to ask? Ling Yunfei rolled his eyes at him. In a flash 3 days had passed. In these 3 days, Qin Feiyong was quite relaxed, but the others were extremely busy, especially the emperor couple. As parents, they naturally wanted to personally attend their children's wedding. Therefore, in these 3 days they had been busy. Moreover, the news of Qin Feiyong's return and marriage had also spread. There was no one in the imperial capital who did not know about it. Even though so many years had passed, Qin Feiyong's deeds had still been passed down to the world. Therefore, everyone was still as respectful to Qin Feiyong as before. In their eyes, Qin Feiyong was still the guardian of Great Qin. The guardian is getting married, then no matter what, we have to go and congratulate him. That's right. I heard that their wedding is in the central square of the first district. Let's go together. For a time, countless people rushed towards the first district. In less than half a day, the first district was packed with people. The wedding was indeed in the central square. Because Qin Feiyong had once said that he wanted to hold a grand wedding for the mermaid princess. Early morning, before dawn, under the urging of the emperor couple, Qin Feiyong got out of bed. Lu Chuyu brought a set of red wedding robes and personally put it on Qin Feiyang. Not bad, my son is so handsome. Looking at the child in front of her, Lu Chuyu's face was full of a proud smile. Qin Feiyang scratched his head embarrassedly. Boss, we're all ready to go. Outside, Fatso's voice also sounded. This wedding procession still had 54 divine generals leading the way. Of course, there would certainly be a lot of fierce beasts like the white-eyed wolf. Moreover, the white-eyed wolf and the blood Kirin also made sacrifices and were willing to be Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess's ride. Everyone headed towards the Sea of Despair in a majestic manner. As for the emperor couple, Emperor Hong, Qin Bati and Emperor Chan, and the others, they naturally went directly to the central square. At the same time, the undersea city in the Sea of Despair was also full of celebration. Inside the palace, the mermaid princess was wearing a red dress with a phoenix pattern embroidered on it. She looked graceful and luxurious. Daughter, you're going to get married. Take good care of yourself in the future. Remember to come back and see this old man more often. Looking at his daughter in front of him, the mermaid emperor was both happy and sad. Father, the Sea of Despair is not far from the imperial capital. If I want to come back, I can come back at any time. If you want to go, you can go at any time. Is there a need to be such a life and death separation? The mermaid princess was helpless. Of course I know, but my heart is sad. You say it wasn't easy for me to raise you, but in the end that kid Qin Feiyang took advantage of you. Let me tell you, if Qin Feiyang dares to bully you in the future, come back and tell me. I'll settle the score with him. The mermaid emperor said. Okay. The mermaid princess nodded. You're still chatting? The wedding procession is here. The black-winged king and the white-winged king ran in and looked at the father and daughter speechlessly. The two of them were also dressed very jubilantly. So fast? The mermaid emperor was stunned. The black-winged king urged, yes, they are all flying towards the undersea city. Hurry up. Okay. The mermaid emperor nodded. There was a gorgeous phoenix crown on the table next to him. The mermaid emperor picked up the phoenix crown and personally put it on the mermaid princess. He smiled and said, my daughter is really shining today. The mermaid princess blushed and turned to look outside. The black-winged king teased, Your Highness, how impatient are you? Uncle, even you are making fun of me. The mermaid princess blushed. Haha, the black-winged king and the white-winged king looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. They're here. A mermaid ran in and shouted. The mermaid emperor and the other two immediately waited solemnly. Soon, accompanied by powerful auras, a group of people and ferocious beasts landed outside the palace gate in a mighty manner. The leaders were the white-eyed wolf and the blood Kirin. At this moment, their bodies were more than 10 meters long and majestic. Qin Feiyang stood on the white-eyed wolf's back. The white-eyed wolf thought, little Qin Zi, I'm a good brother, aren't I? I'll be your ride. Very good. Qin Feiyang smiled and jumped down. He strode into the palace with the 54 divine generals. You're here. The mermaid princess smiled faintly. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the mermaid princess. He smiled and said, You're so beautiful. The mermaid princess blushed again. Ahem. The mermaid emperor sat on the chair next to them and coughed. Hualien followed beside Qin Feiyang and reminded him in a low voice, Big brother Qin, don't chat anymore. Hurry up and greet your father-in-law. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and hurried before the mermaid emperor. He knelt on the ground and said, Your child, Qin Feiyang, greets father-in-law. You're changing your mind so quickly. How impatient are you? The mermaid emperor said with a straight face. Well, Qin Feiyang stammered. Father. The mermaid princess looked at the mermaid emperor unhappily. The mermaid emperor shook his head and sighed. A grown girl can't be kept at home. All right, I won't make things difficult for you. Get up. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly and quickly got up. The mermaid emperor stood up and grabbed the mermaid princess' hand. He then put it in Qin Feiyang's hand and smiled. Feiyang, I'll leave my daughter to you. Treat her well in the future. Don't worry. She's my life. Qin Feiyang nodded. Good. The mermaid emperor nodded happily and said, Then you can go. Thank you, father. The mermaid princess and Qin Feiyang stood together and bowed before the mermaid emperor. Go. Go. The mermaid emperor waved his hand and turned his head. His eyes were wet. Fire Lotus said, let's go. Qin Feiyong nodded and pulled the mermaid princess, who was also crying, out of the palace. The white-eyed wolf and the blood Kirin immediately lay down on the ground. The two of them climbed onto the backs of the white-eyed wolf and the blood Kirin. The mermaid emperor finally turned his head and looked at the two. He smiled and said, love each other forever. Yes. The two of them nodded. Let's go. The white-eyed wolf roared. And the wedding procession flew into the sky above the sea. They are married. Their wish has finally come true. The mermaid emperor watched the procession leave and wiped his tears. Yes. The Black Wing King and the White Wing King nodded. Fire Lotus, who was standing at the door, turned to the three of them and said, why don't the three of you come with us? I'm not going. Our people are celebrating too. If we all leave, who will accompany them? The mermaid emperor laughed. Okay then. When you are done, I will ask Qindage to pick you up. Fire Lotus said. Okay. The mermaid emperor nodded. Fire Lotus smiled and stepped forward. She appeared in the sky above the sea before everyone else. She waved her hand and a time door opened. Chapter 2977. First District, Central Square. At this moment the entire square was spotless, and there was a red carpet that was several meters wide in the middle. Right in front, the emperor and his wife sat in the main seat. After all, they were Qin Feiyong's parents, and the most important people in this wedding apart from Qin Feiyong and the mermaid princess. Therefore, even people like Qin Badian could not steal their limelight. Qin Badian, Emperor Hong, Emperor Chan, Qin Yuan, Lu Zhongyang, several grandpas, Elder Qin, and Yi Zhong, the older generation, sat on both sides. People like Li Jian, Zhao Tailai, and Lu Ji sat in the second row behind, and the younger generation like Qin Yun sat in the third row. After 3 days of cultivation in the Black Tortoise realm, Qin Li had also broken through to godhood. Now he was also wearing festive clothes, sitting with Qin Yun and the others. Everyone had a tea table next to them with sparkling fruits, teacups, and so on. Everyone was chatting and laughing. Around the square there was also a sea of people. Everyone was whispering and looking forward to it. I didn't expect even the Qin Emperor to appear. I thought he had already fallen. Yeah. The person who disappeared for thousands of years and was almost forgotten suddenly appeared. How shocking. The chief eunuch looked at the sky, lowered his head, and whispered in the emperor's ear, Your Majesty, the time has come. It's your turn to speak. The emperor nodded with a smile and stood up. Immediately, whether it was the people on the square or off the square, they all quieted down. The emperor cupped his hands and said, First of all, thank you for your love for the Qin clan. A smile appeared on everyone's face. My son Qin Feiyong, I believe everyone here is familiar with him. Not only did he save the great Qin, but he also saved the forgotten continent. Once he sacrificed himself to revive all the living beings in the 9 continents. Everyone sees him as their guardian, respects him and worships him. But in my eyes, he will always be my son. So at this moment I am very happy, because this is what I and the Empress have been waiting for. We just want him to have a family and a good wife to accompany him and take care of him. Today we have finally reached this step. We have finally fulfilled one of our wishes. The Emperor smiled. His voice was not very loud, but it was clearly heard by everyone. Everyone's face was full of smiles. My second wish. Great Qin has been around for more than 10,000 years, and even though we've gone through countless storms, none of them have affected Great Qin's fate. We believe that in the future, Great Qin will become more and more prosperous. Every citizen of Great Qin will be able to live a happy and peaceful life in the future. Di Wang said, I will. The crowd roared. The emperor smiled and said, As for the third wish, I hope that these 2 children would help each other in the future and love each other for the rest of their lives. If they could quickly give birth to a granddaughter or grandson, that would be the best. Haha, everyone laughed. Is this funny? It's not funny. Although I'm the emperor of Great Qin and seem unapproachable, I'm actually just an ordinary person. So like all of you, I hope that I can have a grandchild soon and enjoy the rest of my life. The emperor chuckled. Outside the arena, someone laughed and said, Your Majesty, you should urge them more. Times are different now. If the young people are not willing, what's the use of urging them? So let's leave it to fate. The emperor waved his hand. Everyone looked at the emperor on the arena. They never thought that the ruler of Great Qin would look so amiable. All along, in the eyes of the world, the emperor represented supreme authority. He was dignified, cold, and unsmiling. But now, in front of so many people, he was talking and laughing without putting on any airs. It was a blessing for Great Qin to have such an emperor. Clang! The emperor was about to speak again, but at that moment, a deafening sound suddenly rang out in the sky. The emperor looked up and revealed a smile. He looked around and said with a smile, "Then I won't say much, lest everyone find me long-winded. Now let's invite the two newcomers to the arena." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone looked up at the space-time gate in the sky. Roar! Roar! With the howl of a wolf and the roar of a qilin, the white-eyed wolf and the blood qilin fell to Qin Feiyong and the mermaid princess and walked out of the space-time gate side by side. Look! It's the guardian deity. A qilin ride, this is really a big deal. Are you kidding? Don't you know who the master is today? Facing the guardian deity, isn't this a piece of cake? Everyone laughed. Roar! Suddenly, another dragon roar sounded, and the five-clawed golden dragon revealed its true form and soared into the sky. Look, it's the divine dragon. At that moment, everyone was startled. The five-clawed golden dragon was tens of thousands of feet long. It circled above the imperial city and danced in the sky. Divine light sprinkled down, enveloping the entire imperial city. Five-clawed golden dragon. This is the symbol of the royal family. And this is not an illusion, it's a real five-clawed golden dragon. Oh my God! This is the first time in my life that I've seen a real divine dragon. The five-clawed golden dragon has appeared. And the Great Qin Empire will prosper. Everyone cheered as they bathed in the divine light. Those who were injured were quickly healed. Those who could not cultivate were reborn and stepped onto the path of cultivation. This auspicious scene caused the entire imperial city to be in an uproar. This guy, Qin Feiyong, shook his head and laughed. He looked down at the white-eyed wolf and said, "Let's go." Boom! The white-eyed wolf and the blood Kirin looked at each other and landed on the plaza. 54 divine generals landed and stood at the edge of the plaza. Although they suppressed their energy, the people outside the plaza could still feel a terrifying pressure. Qin Feiyong jumped off the white-eyed wolf's back. He raised his arm and reached for the mermaid princess. The blood Kirin lay on the ground. The mermaid princess reached out and grabbed Qin Feiyong's hand. Then she walked down from the blood Kirin's back. Fire Lotus looked at Qin Feiyong and the blood Kirin. She pointed at the king couple and smiled. "Let's go." The two of them looked at each other and held hands. They walked down the red carpet toward the king couple. The king had already returned to his seat. He and Lu Qiuyu looked at each other, and then they happily watched Qin Feiyong and the blood Kirin approaching. The five-clawed golden dragon was flying in the sky. Divine light shone, making the entire imperial city look beautiful. Finally, Qin Feiyong and the blood Kirin approached the king couple. Ling Yunfei and the others, as well as the white-eyed wolf and the other beasts, stood behind them. They were all smiling. Feng Lingair smiled and said, "Finally, they are getting married." Yes, it was not easy. Ren Wushuang nodded. They were also in the bridal procession. Ling Yunfei was taken aback. He turned to look at the two women and said disdainfully, "You have not settled down yet. What right do you have to talk about him?" "Shut up." The two of them immediately glared at him. "Be fierce. If you continue to be fierce, you will become a leftover woman sooner or later." Ling Yunfei pouted. "Father, mother." Straight ahead. Qin Feiyong looked at the king couple. Good, good, good. Now that you are married, you have to be more responsible in the future." Lu Qiuyu smiled. "Yes." Qin Feiyong nodded. This time, under the command of the chief eunuch, two maids came over with teacups. The chief eunuch looked at Qin Feiyong and said, "Your Highness, it is time to hold the ceremony. You can arrange it." Qin Feiyong smiled. "Okay." The chief eunuch nodded and said with a smile, "Now let's invite the two newlyweds to face the people of the world." Qin Feiyong and the mermaid princess turned around and looked at the crowd outside. "First bow to all the people in the world." The chief eunuch shouted. The two of them bent down and bowed to the people outside. Ling Yunfei asked suspiciously, "Why is it a bow to all the people in the world? Shouldn't it be a bow to heaven and earth?" "Don't you know? Little Qinzi has never bowed to heaven and earth, so he changed it to all the people in the world." The white-eyed wolf transmitted the message. "I see." Ling Yunfei nodded. He had nothing to say about bowing to all the people in the world. The chief eunuch smiled and shouted again, "Second bow to the parents who raised you." Qin Feiyong and the mermaid princess turned around again, knelt on the ground, and kowtowed to the king couple. Good, good, good. The king couple was overjoyed. Third bow to the elders and relatives, the chief eunuch said again. Qin Feiyong and the king couple looked at each other, and then bowed to Qin Batian, Lu Zhongyang, Yi Zhong, Qin Yuan and the others. Qin Batian and the others were also full of smiles. The chief eunuch paused and then said with a smile, "Next, the couple will bow to each other." The two of them turned around, looked at each other, and bowed to each other at the same time. After Qin Feiyong and the king couple bowed to each other, the chief eunuch said casually, "Let's send them to the bridal chamber." The bridal chamber? Everyone was stunned. Ahem. The chief eunuch coughed and looked at everyone awkwardly. "Sorry, I'm a little confused by the change." Everyone burst into laughter. The chief eunuch smiled apologetically and said with a serious face, "The two newlyweds serve the tea." The two maids immediately took the teacups and walked to Qin Feiyong and the king couple. Qin Feiyong took the two teacups and said to the king couple with a smile, "Father, mother, please have some tea." Okay. The couple took the teacups, took a sip and put them aside. The mermaid princess also took the two teacups and respectfully handed them to the couple, saying, "Father, mother, please have some tea." Okay. The two of them smiled happily, took the teacups and took another sip. The chief eunuch said, "Let's toast to the elders here." Qin Feiyong and the king couple got up and walked to Qin Yuan first. Logically speaking, Qin Yuan was the junior of Qin Batian and the others, so it was not his turn to be the first. But no one had any objection to this, because they all knew the relationship between Qin Feiyong and Qin Yuan. The second was Qin Batian and Tantai Li. Next was Lu Zhongyang, followed by Emperor Hong, Emperor Chun, and the others. The ceremony is done. After the tea was served, the chief eunuch said with a smile, "Now we can send them to the bridal chamber." Why are we going to the bridal chamber so soon? Let's play a little more," Fatso suddenly said. Everyone looked at Fatso in surprise. "That's right. It's such a good day. What a waste of time," Ling Yunfei said with a smirk. "What do you want?" "I'm warning you, don't mess around." Qin Feiyong looked at the two of them warily. "We're not messing around. We're just messing around." The white-eyed wolf smiled slyly. "Yeah, it's not fun if we don't mess around." The golden leopard nodded. Qin Feiyong swept his gaze over these guys and finally understood what was going on. This was premeditated from the start. "Look at these young people, sigh. I really don't know what to say about them." Old Qin shook his head. Qin Batian smiled slightly and said, "As long as it's not vulgar, it's fine as long as they're happy." It seems that we really came at the right time. Just when Ling Yunfei and the others, the white-eyed wolf and the other beasts were about to make a move, suddenly, a burst of laughter sounded in the sky. Just a moment ago, they had said that they didn't have any ill intentions, but in the next moment, the topic of conversation had changed, becoming sharp and unkind. What exactly were these two people trying to do? Forget about the wedding banquet. The purple-clothed young man shook his head and looked at Qin Feiyong with a smile. "Are you Qin Feiyong?" "That's me." Qin Feiyong nodded. Although he looked calm on the surface, he was a little surprised in his heart. He actually knew his name? "You're already a bridegroom. Not bad, not bad." The purple-clothed young man chuckled. The white-haired old man stood beside the purple-clothed young man and didn't say a word. Whoosh! The five-clawed golden dragon shrunk and landed beside Qin Feiyong. He said in a deep voice, "Something seems wrong." Qin Feiyong secretly responded. He looked at the purple-clothed young man calmly and asked with a smile, "Brother, may I ask if we've met before?" "No." The purple-clothed young man shook his head. "Then how do you know me?" Qin Feiyong was puzzled. fighting against the sovereign divine weapon and leading the Dragon Slayer Palace to destroy the Dragon Clan. It's hard for me not to know such shocking deeds. The purple-clothed young man smiled. You even know these things. Qin Feiyong's heart trembled. He asked doubtfully, are the two of you from the ancient realm? If they weren't from the ancient realm, how would they know these things? But was there a half-step sovereign in the ancient realm? No. The purple-clothed young man shook his head. No. Qin Feiyong frowned and asked, then, may I ask where the two of you are from? The purple-clothed young man raised the corner of his mouth and said word by word, the fourth level of the divine sight. What? The fourth level? Qin Feiyong's expression changed abruptly. Yizhong, Qin Badian and the others were the same. The white-eyed wolf, the five-clawed golden dragon, and the other beasts also stared at the two of them in shock. They were actually from the fourth level of the divine sight. This was really unexpected. Qin Feiyong took a deep breath and calmed the shock in his heart. He cupped his hands and said, so, it's the seniors from the fourth level? Seniors? The purple-clothed young man was stunned. He shook his head and said, I don't dare to be a senior. Qin Feiyong asked, then, may I ask why the two of you have come to the Great Qin Empire? I'm definitely not interested in a small place like this that can be destroyed with a slap. I'm here for you, the purple-clothed young man said. For me? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. Yes. The purple-clothed young man nodded but did not explain. His gaze turned and fell on the mermaid princess. He said with a smile, the bride is very beautiful. Thank you. Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and smiled. What a pity. The purple-clothed young man shook his head again. Qin Feiyong was puzzled. It's a pity that you don't have the fortune to enjoy such a beautiful bride. The purple-clothed young man chuckled. Qin Feiyong's eyes suddenly darkened. Now, he could already conclude that the two of them were here to cause trouble. Qin Feiyong made a prompt decision and protected the mermaid princess behind him. The five-clawed golden dragon, Qin Badian, and the others also became vigilant. The atmosphere at the scene also became dignified. Looking at the expressions of Qin Feiyong and the others, the emperor and the others had already guessed that the two of them were not here with good intentions. The purple-clothed young man glanced at the group of people and finally looked at the mermaid princess. He smiled slightly and said, Old High, I like this bride. Understood. Immediately, the white-haired old man standing beside him nodded, and a terrifying divine power suddenly surged out. Qin Baishan's face suddenly changed, and he roared, Feiyong, take her away. Go. The purple-clothed young man shook his head and said with a smile, the Great Qin Empire is so small, where can we go? Or to the Black Tortoise world. What? You even know about the Black Tortoise world? Qin Feiyong and the others were shocked. The purple-clothed young man smiled and said, Old High, don't hurt the bride. Okay. The white-haired old man nodded, and his aura surged out. In an instant everyone was imprisoned. Only the mermaid princess was not. Along with the pressure, she rose into the air and flew uncontrollably toward the two. Feiyong, the mermaid princess cried out, her beautiful face pale. Although she was now a half-step invincible, the white-haired old man was a half-step ruler. How could she contend with the strength of a half-step ruler? Powerlessness and despair swept over her. You're courting death. Qin Feiyong's expression also changed. With a clang, the ancient castle appeared, and divine power spread out in all directions. The white-haired old man's aura was instantly disintegrated. Qin Feiyong jumped up and hugged the mermaid princess, protecting her in his arms, and roared, Ancestor Master, immediately take the people of the imperial city and leave. Hearing this, Qin Badian, Yizhong, Lu Zhongyang, Wang Ming, Yang Li, and the 54 divine generals all attacked. But at this moment, the purple-robed youth snorted and looked at the white-haired old man with dissatisfaction. Old High, is this all you've got? I'm ashamed. The white-haired old man smiled and waved the horsetail whisk in his hand. A monstrous divine aura immediately surged out. This is the aura of a sovereign weapon. Qin Feiyong and the others paled. They never would have thought that the ordinary-looking horsetail whisk was actually a sovereign weapon. The collision of two sovereign weapons will create a destructive force. This old man doesn't need to tell you, you should know. If you don't want this continent to be destroyed, you'd better behave. The white-haired old man looked at Qin Feiyong and said indifferently. Qin Feiyong's gaze was gloomy. He naturally knew about sovereign weapons. If two sovereign weapons collided, the Great Qin Empire would instantly be reduced to ashes. At that time, not only the people of the Great Qin Empire, but even his family would all die. How could he let such a thing happen? Right now, we can't care about the people in other places. Send the people here to the Black Tortoise world first, Qin Badian said. Qin Feiyong nodded his head. With a wave of his hand, the people inside and outside the plaza immediately disappeared. Outside, only Qin Feiyong, Qin Badian, Lu Zhongyang, Yi Zhong and the ancient castle were left. The purple-robed youth smiled. Looking at you, you're planning to resist until the end. Is it worth sacrificing the entire Great Qin Empire for a woman? Qin Feiyong was silent. The purple-robed youth said, Old Hai, let them experience what pain is. Boom! The white-haired old man waved his hand and a divine light shot out, blasting toward the 9th district. In an instant, with a loud bang, the entire 9th district was reduced to ashes. Countless people died tragically. Not even their bones were left behind. The 8th district was also affected. Houses collapsed one after another. It was a scene of devastation. Qin Feiyong was seething with anger. Hand over the bride immediately, or more people will die. I'm not joking. Because you care about these people's lives, but I don't. The purple-robed youth smiled faintly. Feiyong, let me go with them. The mermaid princess voice suddenly sounded in Qin Feiyong's mind. Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled. I can't implicate the entire Great Qin Empire just because of me, the mermaid princess said. She had seen the destruction of the 9th district in the Black Tortoise world with her own eyes. Her heart was filled with pain. No, Qin Feiyong roared. Feiyong, I know you care about me. I don't want to leave you, but we have no other choice now. If the Great Qin Empire is really destroyed because of me, I will feel guilty for the rest of my life, the mermaid princess said. Qin Feiyong said, Don't worry, I have a way to solve it. There must be. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Qin Yuan appeared and said, Uncle Yuan, quickly use the power of rule force to deal with them. Qin Yuan was slightly stunned. That's right. He could now control the power of rule force of this world. Although he didn't know how strong the sovereign divine weapon was, the power of rule force was the source of this world. It might be able to suppress the sovereign divine weapon. Immediately, he waved his hand, but in the next moment, his expression froze. What's wrong? Qin Feiyong asked. I can't control the power of rule force. Qin Yuan shook his head. Could it be that the small beast lied to us back then? It didn't give you and the white dragon this authority? Qin Feiyong was bewildered. Chapter 2979. No. When we were given this authority, we tried it. We can indeed control the power of laws. I think the reason is because of them. Qin Yuan looked at the purple-clothed young man and the white-haired old man. Qin Feiyong was stunned. They could even interfere with the power of laws? Our methods are not something you can imagine. The purple-clothed young man chuckled and said, Old Hai, let's continue. Okay. The white-haired old man nodded. Wait. Qin Feiyong hurriedly shouted. Have you thought it through? The purple-clothed young man smiled slightly. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice, Are you related to Ice Dragon? I said it's not important. The purple-clothed young man said. Then why did you take her to the 4th level? Qin Feiyong looked at the purple-clothed young man gloomily. Didn't I say? I like her. The purple-clothed young man chuckled. Qin Feiyong clenched his hands tightly. You're helpless, right? You clearly have a sovereign weapon, but you can only watch us do whatever we want. The purple-clothed young man laughed. Let them go. Let's go somewhere else. I'll fight you however you want. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. Somewhere else. The purple-clothed young man smiled playfully and said, Then let's go to the Black Tortoise world. You, Qin Feiyong glared at him. Didn't you say we should go somewhere else? What? Now I agree. Are you still not happy? The purple-clothed young man chuckled. The Black Tortoise world. The white-eyed wolf stared at the purple-clothed young man and roared. I really want to beat his face up so he can't laugh. Calm down. Not only is there a half-step sovereign, But there's also a sovereign weapon. Even if we give it our all and fight with everything we have, we might not be able to defeat them. Fire Lotus said. The mermaid princess muttered. The best way is for me to go with them. Don't even think about it. We won't allow it, and neither will little Qin Zi. The white-eyed wolf looked at the mermaid princess and said, Outside. The purple-clothed young man looked at the silent Qin Feiyong and said with a smile, Great Qin or the bride, you can choose. You can only choose one. Qin Feiyong roared. How could I possibly make such a choice? All right then, I'll help you choose. Old C. The purple-clothed young man said indifferently. Understood. The white-haired old man nodded. With a wave of his wizened arm, a spatial crack appeared. Not good. Yi Zhong's expression changed. This was the law of space-time. Qin Feiyong's expression also changed abruptly. He hurriedly entered the Black Tortoise realm and saw that the white-robed old man had already appeared beside the mermaid princess. Stop him! Qin Feiyong roared. The five-clawed golden dragon, Wang Ming, Yang Li, the white-eyed wolf and the others immediately pounced on the old man in white. Ants! The white-haired old man said indifferently and waved his hand. Brother Fire, what happened to you? Qin Feiyong's expression changed. He quickly landed beside the fire python and asked. The fire python was extremely weak, and its vitality was fading. Seeing that the situation was bad, Qin Feiyong hurriedly took out a large number of divine-grade life divine pills and stuffed them into the fire python's mouth. Boundless vitality instantly exploded in the fire python's body. Its injuries were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. The dissipating vitality also stabilized. After the fire python recovered, it immediately looked at Qin Feiyong apologetically and said, I'm sorry. I couldn't stop them. You've seen them? Qin Feiyong asked in a deep voice. Yes. Not long ago, they suddenly appeared on the 3rd level. I immediately asked them. They said they wanted to go to the Great Qin. I thought, why do the people on the 4th level want to go to the Great Qin? So I stopped them and didn't allow them to go. But they were too strong. I couldn't stop them. Just a while ago, they came back from the Great Qin and brought your woman. I immediately realized that something was wrong and stopped them, asking them to put down the mermaid princess. But not only did they not listen, they even attacked and almost killed me. The fire python said angrily. As the guardian of the 3rd level, it was humiliating to be injured by outsiders. Qin Batian said in surprise, Don't you control the power of laws? How could they hurt you? That's the most terrifying thing. I don't know why, but in front of them I can't control the power of laws. The fire python said. What? You can't control the power of laws either. The 4 of them were shocked. What do you mean? The fire python looked at the 4 of them suspiciously. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice, To be honest, before in the Great Qin, Uncle Yuan couldn't control the power of laws either. Even he can't control it? What's going on here? The fire python frowned. Qin Feiyong shook his head and said, I don't know. Why don't you try again and see if you can control the power of laws now? The fire python nodded. With a thought, the power of laws suddenly descended from the sky. The fire python and Qin Feiyong were dumbfounded. It could actually control the power of laws? It seems that it's as Qin Yuan guessed. The reason is indeed on them. Lu Zhengyang said. It's too unbelievable. To be able to interfere with the power of laws, what kind of method is this? Qin Feiyong asked. Did they go to the 3rd level? The fire python nodded. Let's go. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and immediately revived the altar. No need to revive the altar. I will bring you guys up directly. As the fire python finished speaking, an invisible force descended. The next moment, the 3 of them appeared in the shrine. The shrine's door was wide open. Qin Feiyong rushed out of the shrine and stood in the sky, scanning the surroundings. Except for the giant beasts, there was no one else. At the same time, the fire python closed its eyes and expanded its perception infinitely. Qin Feiyong and the others looked at it nervously. After a while, the fire python opened its eyes and looked at Qin Feiyong. They're gone. They should have returned to the 4th level. Bastard! I won't forgive them. Qin Feiyong roared, Brother Fire. Send me to the 4th level now. Okay. The fire python nodded. Wait. Qin Batian said. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang asked. Qin Batian transmitted his voice. If we go to the 4th level now, what about your father and the others? Qin Feiyang's body stiffened. That's right. Father and the others are still in the Black Tortoise world. The 4th level is full of powerhouses. It's hard to predict good or bad luck. I can't let father and the others take the risk. Calm down first. Didn't they say it when they left? They won't hurt you for the time being. Let's go back first. After settling everything, we'll go to the 4th level. Qin Batian said. The main reason why he did this was to give Qin Feiyang some time to calm down. Because Qin Feiyang had almost lost his mind. If he rushed to the 4th level, he would definitely die. So, he had to calm down first before he could deal with all of this rationally. Yizhong looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Your ancestor is right. Let's go back first. After calming down, we'll go to the 4th level. Qin Feiyang looked at the east side of the Nether King's hell. His hands clenched tightly as he muttered, Don't be afraid. I will definitely save you. Then, with the help of the fire python, the 4 of them returned to Great Qin. At this moment, the imperial city was in chaos. The 9th city district was ruthlessly destroyed, and the 8th city district was also destroyed. Countless people lay in pools of blood, wailing in pain. Sigh. Qin Yuan brought Qin Feiyang and the others back to the sky above the imperial city. Looking at this scene, he couldn't help but sigh. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and many divine life pills appeared and fell down. Quickly consume these divine life pills to heal your injuries. Your Highness. Everyone got up and looked at Qin Feiyang with anger, pain and sadness on their faces. Bastard, I will definitely kill you. Kill you. Qin Feiyang knelt on the ground and roared into the sky. Sigh. Hearing Qin Feiyang's hysterical roar, Qin Batian and the rest couldn't help but sigh. Whoosh! A figure floated over. It was Fire Lotus. He landed beside Qin Feiyang. He wanted to comfort him, but he didn't know what to say, so he silently stood aside and accompanied Qin Feiyang. Time passed little by little. Under the emperor's orders, Qilinju personally took care of the aftermath. Before the sky turned dark, the 8th district was repaired. The injuries of the people were also healed. The 9th district was also being rebuilt, but those who died could no longer come back. The entire imperial city was immersed in grief. At night, Autumn Rain Pavilion. The emperor returned to the pavilion with a tired face. Looking at everyone sitting in the hall, he asked, Is Feiyang not back yet? Lu Chuyu nodded and sighed. He's still at the square. Then I'll go take a look. The emperor said. Don't go. Fire Lotus has been accompanying him. You've been busy all day. Go take a bath and have a good rest. Lu Chuyu said. How can I be in the mood to rest now? The emperor looked at Qin Batian angrily and said, Great-grandfather, who are they? Why are they making trouble for no reason? The others also turned to look at Qin Batian. Qin Batian said, They are people at the 4th level of the divine rank. They are very strong, and according to my guess, they should be related to Ice Dragon. Ice Dragon. People and beasts like Zhao Tailai and White-Eyed Wolf, who knew about it, suddenly changed their faces when they heard this. But the emperor, Emperor Hong, and the others were suspicious. Qin Batian looked at the emperor and the others and said, You don't have to worry about these things. By the way, have you informed the Mermaid Emperor? Not yet. Lu Chuyu shook her head. Qin Batian said, As a father, he has the right to know. Understood. Lu Chuyu nodded and looked at the emperor. You send someone to inform him now. I'll go personally. After the emperor said that, he rushed to the Sea of Despair again. Emperor Hong looked at Qin Batian and asked, Father, is this 4th level very dangerous? I already said don't worry about this, don't you understand? Qin Batian said angrily. Emperor Hong's neck suddenly shrank. Qin Batian's heart was more irritated than anyone else. First it was the Mermaid Emperor, Black-Winged Emperor, White-Winged Emperor, Sword Emperor, and now it was the Mermaid Princess. This ice dragon was really going too far. The night was as dark as ink. Central Square. Many people had been standing outside the square. They were all citizens of Imperial City. They came spontaneously. Although they were densely packed, Everyone was talking and had been silently accompanying Qin Feiyang. Because everyone knew that what Qin Feiyang needed now was not comfort, but silence. Don't disturb him. Huolian had not taken a single step away from him since the day had started and had not spoken a single word. Whoosh! Suddenly, accompanied by the sound of something breaking through the air, two figures rushed over like lightning. In-law, calm down. This was the emperor's voice, very anxious. My daughter has been taken away. How do you want me to calm down? Today I must find a way to teach that bastard a lesson. This was the voice of the mermaid emperor. Hearing this news, the mermaid emperor was furious and immediately rushed to the imperial capital, heading straight for Qin Feiyang. The noise of the two also alarmed Fire Lotus and the people outside. Everyone looked up and couldn't bear to see it. Qin Feiyang was already in so much pain, yet he still came to denounce him. Wasn't that a bit too cruel? However, this was other people's family matter, so they couldn't interrupt. Fire Lotus didn't say anything and just watched quietly. Whoosh! Soon, the mermaid emperor landed on the square and aggressively walked towards Qin Feiyang, angrily saying, "Bastard, what did you promise me? Is this how you take care of her?" The emperor was extremely anxious. Fire Lotus landed beside the emperor and stopped him, shaking her head. "Uncle, don't try to persuade him. With his current mood, the more you persuade him, the angrier he will be." But the emperor frowned. Fire Lotus said, "Don't worry, Qin Dage is his son-in-law after all. He won't really do anything to him." The emperor hesitated and sighed. "I hope so." Immediately, the two of them stood to the side and watched silently. The mermaid emperor had already rushed in front of Qin Feiyang, angrily grabbed Qin Feiyang's clothes and lifted him up from the ground. However, when he saw Qin Feiyang's eyes at this moment, the mermaid emperor's gaze suddenly trembled slightly. Empty, lifeless, was this still the high-spirited young man from before? Now this child was like a dead person in front of him. Not only were his eyes empty, but his face was also pale and lifeless. Originally, he was full of anger, but looking at Qin Feiyang's current appearance, he couldn't help but feel a trace of pity in his heart. That's right. As a father, hearing that his daughter was taken away, his heart was very painful. But as a man, as a husband, watching his beloved wife be taken away, his heart must be more painful than anyone else. Sigh, the mermaid emperor sighed deeply, gently put down Qin Feiyang, and simply sat down beside Qin Feiyang. Looking at this scene, the emperor and the people outside couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. A smile crept onto Huolian's face. This father-in-law was quite good. "Child, don't blame yourself, this isn't your fault, they were too unreasonable." The mermaid emperor tried to squeeze out a smile and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Uncle, Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the mermaid emperor. "I don't want to say anything else. You have to remember, you are a man. If you have a problem, you have to solve it, not sit here and worry about it alone." The mermaid emperor said, "Uncle, you really don't blame me?" Qin Feiyang stared blankly at the mermaid emperor. "What's the use of blaming you? If I blame you, will my daughter come back? It's useless. Besides, you are now half my son. Why would I blame you? I believe that my daughter will not allow me to blame you. Cheer up, be a man, go and get your woman back." The mermaid emperor patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder heavily and smiled encouragingly. Qin Feiyang's body shook. He lowered his head and pondered for a while, then suddenly stood up, looked at the mermaid emperor and said, "I will, thank you for your forgiveness, uncle." "Uncle?" The mermaid emperor frowned. Qin Feiyang was stunned and quickly said, "Thank you, father, for your forgiveness. That's more like it." The mermaid emperor nodded in satisfaction. Qin Feiyang looked at the emperor, and the emperor also smiled encouragingly. Swish! Qin Feiyang took a step forward, and the decadent aura suddenly disappeared. Standing above the city, he shouted, "Gather!" Fire Lotus was the first to walk to Qin Feiyang's side. Looking at Qin Feiyang, who finally cheered up, there was a trace of a smile on her beautiful face. "It's the boss's voice. Let's go. Autumn reign in." Hearing Qin Feiyang's shout, everyone immediately flew to the first district. But a moment later, everyone arrived above the square. "Feiyang," Lu Chuyu looked at Qin Feiyang with tears of joy. "Mother, I'm fine." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly, then looked at Zhao Tailai and the others, the white-eyed wolf, and the other beasts and said, We don't know how dangerous the fourth floor is. This might be a one-way trip. Before you go, think about it carefully. What's there to think about? Wherever you go, we will follow. That's right. We are brothers and companions. We will share blessings and hardships together. The white-eyed wolf and the other beasts roared. Young master, don't say anything. As long as you say the word, I will even go to hell. Wang Ming smiled. Thank you. Qin Feiyang looked at everyone, and his heart couldn't help but ache. Then he bowed to everyone. Chapter 2981. Thank you. If you say thank you again, I'll immediately turn around and leave. I won't bother with your business. The white-eyed wolf snorted coldly. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. This was a typical example of a sharp tongue but a soft heart. Qin Feiyang then looked at the emperor and the others. Lu Chuyu walked forward, tidied up Qin Feiyang's clothes and smiled. You don't have to say anything, we understand. Thank you, mother. Qin Feiyang lowered his head, suddenly knelt in the air, looked at all the elders and relatives in front of him, and said, Everyone take care. Finished. Qin Feiyang suddenly stood up, a cold light surging in his eyes, and shouted, Let's go. That moment, Qin Feiyang turned around and stepped into the air. He did not call anyone. Because he did not want to force anyone, whether they were willing or not, it was all up to them. Everyone take care. Wang Ming and Yang Li looked at each other, cupped their hands and smiled at the emperor and the others, and chased after Qin Feiyang. Fire Lotus smiled at the emperor and the others, and also turned to leave. Let's go. The white-eyed wolf waved his claws. The five-clawed golden dragon, the golden leopard, the blood Qilin, the three black leopard brothers, the big black wolf, Yu Huang, Willow Tree, Chui Li, Zhao Tai Lai and the others all followed. Everyone take care. Dan Wangkai looked at everyone, especially his former companions, Wang Zicheng and the others, cupped his hands and smiled and then left. Yes, Wang Zicheng and the others naturally had to come to Qin Feiyang's wedding. Unfortunately, a joyous occasion had turned out like this. Looking at Qin Feiyang's back, they couldn't help but sigh. Let's go too. Qin Batian looked at Lu Zhongyang and smiled. Lu Zhongyang nodded. Qin Batian looked at Emperor Hong and the others and said, The future of Great Qin depends on you. Protect the people here well. Yes. The group nodded. Lu Zhongyang also looked at Second Grandpa and the others and said, All of you too. Do your best to assist the Qin clan and protect the people of Great Qin. Yes. Everyone nodded in agreement. Let's go. Following Qin Baishan's order, the group of people left in a grandiose manner. Among them were Tantai Li, Qin Rushuang, and 54 divine generals. Brother Mu, let's go. Dong Zhengyang looked at Mu Tianyang and smiled. What are we going to do? Mu Tianyang frowned. Do you remember what I once said? Our fated battle isn't over yet. Our true battle is on the fourth level. You and Mu Qing are indispensable. Dong Zhengyang said. Not interested. Mu Tianyang shook his head. That's all I have to say. Do as you see fit. Dong Zhengyang smiled faintly and looked at Bai Long. Take good care of yourself. Bai Long reminded him, You too? Yes. Dong Zhengyang nodded and turned to leave without looking back. Ancestor, Mu Qing looked at Mu Tianyang. Mu Tianyang raised his head and looked at the backs of Qin Feiyang and the others. Then he looked at the people below and sighed. We can't let them look down on the Mu clan. Fine, let's go to the fourth level. Yes. Mu Qing nodded. Swoosh. The two of them took a step forward and disappeared into the horizon. It's time for us to go. Yi Zhong smiled faintly. Yes. Yi Shuer Yi Cheng and Old Master Yi nodded. The emperor hurriedly said, For of you, I thought you weren't going to the fourth level? We're not going, but there are still many things that we need to deal with in the ancient realm. Thank you for your warm hospitality these past few days. If you have the chance, you must come to the ancient realm. Let this old man play host. Yi Zhong smiled. All right then. The emperor nodded. Goodbye. Yi Zhong cupped his hands and smiled. Then he turned around and left with Yi Cheng and the other two. They're all gone. The emperor reached out and hugged Lu Chuyu's shoulder. Lu Chuyu leaned into the emperor's embrace. We can't do anything. We can only hope that they're safe. Second Grandpa sighed. Yes. Everyone nodded. This reunion was too short. Before they could recover from the joy, it was time to part. Child will always wait for you at home. You must come back alive, Lu Chuyu murmured. This was not only the emperor and his wife's wish, but also the wish of everyone present. And it was their only wish. Demonic Dragon Island. After bidding farewell to Uncle Yuan, Qin Feiyang and the others directly opened the altar and descended to the second level of the miracle. Where's Brother Hua? Qin Feiyang scanned the surroundings but did not see Hua Python's figure. Yizhong said, he should be on the third level. Qin Feiyang glanced at the teleportation altar. Then, he looked at Yizhong and said, then master, let's part ways here. The fourth level is not like the ancient world. Be careful. Yizhong reminded. I will. Qin Feiyang nodded. Yizhong asked also, who is the most suitable candidate that you mentioned previously? Yes. Now you have to tell your master. After he returns he can help this person. Qin Badian said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, far away on the horizon, but close in front of you. Everyone was stunned. Far away on the horizon but close in front of you? Immediately after, everyone couldn't help but look at Yizhong, Yicheng, Yishuer and Old Master Yi. This was because only their family had returned to the ancient world. The others had to go to the fourth level. Why are you looking at me? It can't be me. Yicheng was speechless. Then it can't be me. Old Master Yi smiled. Then it's even more impossible for me. Yishuer shook her head. As the three of them finished speaking, everyone's gazes fell on Yizhong in unison. Yizhong looked at everyone and then at Qin Feiyang's gaze. He suddenly understood and smiled bitterly. You brat, you even schemed against your master. This is not called scheming. You are the most suitable candidate. In the future, the Dragon Slayer Palace and the ancient world will depend on you, Qin Feiyang said. Do I have a choice now? Yizhong shook his head and smiled. All right, don't worry and go to the fourth level. Don't worry about the ancient world. Thank you, master. Take care. Qin Feiyang bowed. You too. You must come back safely. Yizhong said. I will. Qin Feiyang nodded and turned to look at everyone. He raised his eyebrows and looked at Qin Chen. To be precise, he looked behind Qin Chen. He saw a young man sneakily hiding behind Qin Chen. Wang Xiaojie? Qin Feiyang went forward and pulled the young man out. Who else could it be other than Wang Xiaojie? Master. Wang Xiaojie smiled embarrassedly. Why did you follow me? Qin Feiyang frowned. Wang Xiaojie stammered. Qin Feiyang said, if you come here like this, who will take care of your sister and mother in the future? Don't worry about this. Yin Wei has already promised me to take good care of them. Wang Xiaojie hurriedly said. You've planned this from the start. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Wang Xiaojie laughed dryly. Yizhong smiled and said, it's good for young people to have this drive, so don't destroy his fighting spirit. Thank you, Grandmaster. Wang Xiaojie hurriedly said gratefully. Qin Feiyang glared at Wang Xiaojie and nodded, all right, but remember the fourth level is not the Forgotten Continent or Great Qin. Be careful, I don't want to bring your corpse back to see your sister and mother. Yes. Wang Xiaojie nodded. Qin Feiyang looked at Yizhong and said, then master will leave first. When I find the fire python, I'll get it to send you back to the ancient world. Go. Yizhong waved his hand. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent everyone to the Black Tortoise realm, leaving only Qin Badian and Lu Zhongyang outside. Following that, the three of them walked up the revival altar, and then slowly disappeared from the sight of Yizhong and the others. Yishuer retracted her gaze and looked at Yizhong. Grandpa, you actually want to go to the fourth level too, right? I do want to go. However, the ancient world needs this old man more. Perhaps one day, when the ancient world stabilizes and I find a suitable successor, this old man might go to the fourth level to take a look. Yizhong laughed. Then what do you think of my aptitude? Can I become your successor? Yishuer giggled. You? Yizhong looked at Yishuer with a meaningful gaze. What kind of look is that? Are you looking down on me? Yishuer was dissatisfied. Haha, Yizhong laughed loudly and said, if you want to be this old man's successor, then you have to work hard. Third level. Outside the temple, Qin Feiyang and the other two stood in the air and scanned their surroundings, But they still did not find any traces of the fire python. Where did he go? Qin Feiyang frowned. Don't worry. The third level of the divine ruins is under its control. It must have already known that we came in. Perhaps it was delayed by something. Let's wait and see, Qin Badian said. Qin Feiyang said, I'm just worried that those two will make a comeback. Lu Zhengyang sneered. Wouldn't it be better if they really make a comeback? Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at Lu Zhengyang suspiciously. In the Great Qin we can't make a move because of the people of Great Qin. But in the divine ruins we can have no worries, Lu Zhengyang said. Qin Badian said, that may be the case, but there are rules and restrictions in the Nether King's hell. We are no match for them. Don't we have the fire python to help us? Lu Zhengyang said. Qin Feiyang and Qin Badian looked at each other, and killing intent flashed in their eyes. If the two of them really made a comeback, then they could really go all out and have a fight here. Because as the guardian of the Nether King's hell, the fire python could not only change the rules here, but also transfer all the creatures of the Nether King's hell, such as the blood demons, to the first and second levels. This way they wouldn't have to worry about hurting innocent creatures. Ancestors, how do you think those two interfered with the power of rules? Qin Feiyang frowned. The more he thought about it, the more incredulous it was. One had to know. Back in the ancient world, the Heaven's Prison was also formed by the power of rules. Back then, when the Ice Dragon's sacred sword fought with the ancient castle, it couldn't tear the Heaven's Prison apart. This meant that even a sovereign divine weapon couldn't shake the power of rules of a world. But these two, one was at the initial stage of the imperishable realm, and the other was a half-step sovereign. How could they interfere with the power of rules in the divine ruins? Qin Badian pondered for a while and shook his head. I'm afraid only they know the mystery. Actually, I suspect that the person behind this might be the Ice Dragon. Lu Zhengyang said. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang and Qin Badian looked at Lu Zhengyang in surprise. Is this guy really the reincarnation of a big shot of the blood demon race? The fire python suddenly said. Qin Feiyang, there is something I want to tell you. What is it? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Since I became the guardian of the third floor, I have carefully investigated the history of the third floor. Do you know what I found out? The fire python said. What did you find out? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. The fire python said, I found that the former Nether King Hell had no restrictions. No restrictions? The fire python was stunned. Yes. In other words, there is no restriction on the cultivation realm. Whether it is the blood demon race here or other beasts, they can all step into the imperishable realm. And according to my investigation, I found something terrible. The fire python said. What terrible thing? Qin Feiyang was surprised. The blood demon race once had a sovereign realm powerhouse. As for how strong he was, I don't know. This person can fight with Lord Ice Dragon. The fire python said. What? Qin Feiyang was shocked. The fire python asked, do you know who this person is? Who? Qin Feiyang asked. The ancestor of the blood demon race. The fire python said word by word. The ancestor of the blood demon race. Qin Feiyang's eyes were full of shock. To be able to fight with Ice Dragon, how strong must he be? The fire python said again. There is one more thing. You know about the blood demon tower, right? Of course I know. Qin Feiyang nodded. According to my investigation, this blood demon tower is not a heaven-defying artifact, but an extremely terrifying sovereign realm divine weapon. The fire python said. What? The blood demon tower is a sovereign realm divine weapon. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. That's not right. We have seen the blood demon tower. It is not at the level of a sovereign realm divine weapon. Qin Badian and Lu Zhengyang also spoke. That's because the blood demon tower is only a part of this sovereign realm divine weapon. There are still two parts that have not merged. Once merged, it will have the ability to destroy heaven and earth. The fire python said. This. Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other. Lunatic said earlier that the blood demon tower was originally in the hands of the old patriarch of the blood demon race, right? The fire python asked. Yes. At that time in Fallen Valley, Qin Feiyang recounted what happened in Fallen Valley in detail. As expected, the fire python pondered for a while, looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I have a bold guess. What guess? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. The fire python said, Lunatic is very likely the reincarnation of the ancestor of the blood demon race. The reincarnation of the ancestor. Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other. Otherwise, how do you explain his evil power and the fact that the blood demon tower abandoned the old patriarch without hesitation and followed him? More importantly, he can still get close to the moon of evil and touch the blood bead. So, I have this bold guess. Even if he is not the reincarnation of the ancestor of the blood demon race, he must be related to the ancestor. Because you also know that the real owner of the blood demon tower was the ancestor of the blood demon race. Lunatic said. I know this. Qin Feiyang nodded, pondered for a while and asked then, did you tell senior brother Lunatic about this? Yes. The fire python nodded. Then what was his reaction? Qin Feiyang asked. With his personality, what reaction can he have? However, I can see that he really wants to find out, so during this period of time, he has been staying in the moon of evil. You also know that every time he touches the blood bead in the moon of evil, an image will appear in his mind. What does he want to find from this image? But I heard from him that no matter what, he can't see it clearly. It is because of this that a large amount of evil power was absorbed by him, and the moon of evil showed signs of shrinking. You know the importance of the evil power to the blood demon race. If they lose the evil power, the blood demon race won't be able to survive here. Not only the blood demon race but also the other creatures of hell. So I am worried. If he really absorbs all the evil power, what will happen to the blood demon race in the future? The fire python shook its head and sighed. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, How about this, take me there, I will persuade him. That would be for the best. The fire python was overjoyed. By the way, Feiyang, didn't you say that there is a person called Shweta? Can you let us meet him? Qin Badian suddenly spoke. Back then in the forest of gods and devils, Shweta had saved their lives. For them it was a great kindness. Now that there was a chance, they naturally had to visit him personally. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, looked at the fire python and said, Brother Hua, then I will leave this matter to you. Send my two ancestors to the ancient city of Qingyu. All right. The fire python nodded. With a thought, Qin Badian and Shweta disappeared. Immediately after, the fire python also brought Qin Feiyang and instantly landed in front of the moon of evil. Suddenly, a terrifying evil force surged toward them. The fire python mobilized the rule force and protected Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang shouted, Senior brother madman, I have something to say, come out quickly. What? A moment later, Madman walked out with an annoyed look. Qin Feiyang frowned. Are you trying to destroy the moon of evil? I really want to destroy it, but unfortunately I don't have the ability. Madman snorted coldly. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. I know you really want to figure out your background, but this matter can't be forced. Let's just let nature take its course. You make it sound nice. Didn't Qin Badian also run around to investigate his background? Madman pursed his lips. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, All right, I need your help. What help? Madman frowned. Qin Feiyang looked at the fire python and asked, You didn't tell him? Not yet. The fire python shook its head. Looking at Qin Feiyang's pained face, Madman raised his eyebrows and said, What is it? Just this morning. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the matter of the old man and the young man. What? Madman's expression changed. So now I am going to the 4th floor. I really need your help. Qin Feiyang looked at Madman pleadingly. Damn it, how dare they bully this daddy's little brother? Let's go. This daddy will accompany you to the 4th floor, and let them know that people from the lower realm aren't to be trifled with. Madman said angrily. Thank you, senior brother Madman. Qin Feiyang smiled gratefully. Can't help it, this daddy has a troublesome little brother like you. Madman shook his head. Little brother? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Qin Feiyang, there's one more thing that I think I need to tell you. The fire python suddenly spoke again. What is it? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Do you know them? The fire python condensed 3 phantoms. 2 of them were 2 young men, and the last one was a gray castle. Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other. Wasn't this Li Feng and the mysterious young man? as well as the gray castle that disappeared? Qin Feiyong pointed at the gray castle and asked, Brother Fire, where did you see it? The fire python said, a few years ago in the Nether King's Hell. It also came to the Nether King's Hell? Qin Feiyong and Madman looked at each other. The fire python asked, so you all know them? Yes. I know them all, and they are all related to me. Qin Feiyong nodded. The fire python said, they also went to the 4th floor. What? Qin Feiyong was shocked. Chapter 2983. They all went to the 4th floor? Frenzy asked in disbelief. Yes. Fire python nodded. Did they go together? Frenzy frowned. Not really. That young man went to the 4th floor first. Half a year later it was that gray castle. Another 2 months passed and that young man called Li Feng only entered the 4th floor. I don't think they know each other. Fire python said. It's really strange. How did they know there's a 4th floor? Frenzy frowned. Let's not talk about that young man first. He's very mysterious. As for Li Feng and the Grey Castle, Li Feng has always been with Ancestor Shue's soul. Ancestor Shue and the Grey Castle are from the previous era. Since they know about the existence of the miracle, it's impossible for them to do anything strange. I even suspect that the Grey Castle's goal is to enter the 4th floor. But why did they enter the 4th floor? Qin Feiyong's face was also full of doubts. It seems that even if we go to the 4th floor we won't be too bored. Frenzy chuckled. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded and then looked at Fire Python. Apart from them, are there any other strangers in the Nether King's Hell? Other strangers? Fire Python was stunned. Especially strong ones. Qin Feiyong said. No. Fire Python shook his head and asked doubtfully, why do you ask? Back then when my ancestors entered the 3rd floor, they met a mysterious white-haired young man. Not only did this person give my ancestors an elixir to recover their cultivation, but he also sent them directly from the 3rd floor to the ancient world. Qin Feiyong said. That's impossible. There are rules and restrictions in the miracle. Apart from me, Lord Ice Dragon and Lord Beast God, no one has this ability. Fire Python shook his head. Therefore, my guess is that he might be the real owner of the miracle, the creation god. Qin Feiyong said. That's even more impossible. Why would an existence like the creation god come to save someone completely unrelated to him? Fire Python shook his head. Forget it then. We'll talk about it when we have the chance to meet him in the future. Let's go to the ancient city now. Qin Feiyong said. The Fire Python nodded and brought the two of them to the sky above the ancient city of Qingyu. At this moment, the sky above the ancient city was already bustling with activity. The Ghost King and the 10 commanders were all present. Qin Batian and Lu Zhongyang were standing opposite them. They were talking and laughing, and it seemed like they were having a good time. With the appearance of Qin Feiyong and Lunatic, King Yu and the 10 commanders immediately looked toward the two of them. Senior Ghost King, long time no see. How have you been? Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and smiled. Haha. King Yu laughed heartily and said, not seeing for many years, Brother Qin's strength is already unfathomable. No matter how strong he is, he won't be a match for Senior in the Infernal King's Hell. Qin Feiyong waved his hand. The Ghost King said, let's go. Let's go down and chat. This? Qin Feiyong hesitated for a moment before shaking his head. Let's wait for the next time. I have to go to the 4th floor as soon as possible. What's the rush? The Ghost King was stunned. I have some personal matters to attend to. I have to go as soon as possible. Qin Feiyong nodded. Then all right. Since Brother Qin has something urgent to attend to, I won't force you to stay. However, when you come back next time you must come to the ancient city. The Ghost King said. Okay. Qin Feiyong nodded and looked at Qin Batian and Lunatic. Have you explained everything clearly? Yes. The two of them nodded. Shweta laughed and said, speaking of this, it's really fate. Back then I did notice them but I didn't pay much attention to them. I didn't expect them to be your ancestors. Yes. When I heard my ancestors talk about it I was also filled with emotions. This means that the relationship between the Qin clan and the Blood Demon tribe is destined. Qin Feiyong said. Shweta said. Then let us cherish this fate. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded and cupped his hands. I'm really sorry. The next time I come back, I'll definitely drink with everyone. It's okay. The Ghost King and the 10 commanders waved their hands. Qin Feiyong turned to look at the fire python and said with a smile, Brother Hua, let's go. The fire python immediately led Qin Feiyong and the others and disappeared without a trace. Shweta laughed and said, Lord Ghost King, I have to say that our decision back then was really wise. Yes, if we were enemies with him back then, I'm afraid that the Blood Demon tribe would have already disappeared from this land, let alone being taken care of by the Guardians. The Ghost King nodded. Humph. However, at this moment, accompanied by a cold snort, the old patriarch landed in front of everyone, his eyes flashing coldly. Father, have you not given up? The Ghost King sighed. So what if I haven't given up? Even the Guardians are their friends. What else can I do to them? I only hate myself for being useless. The old patriarch roared. When the Ghost King heard this, not only was he not angry, but he also heaved a sigh of relief, because this meant that his father had actually given up and was just a little indignant. Little lunatic, do your best. The Ghost King looked at the void in front of him and muttered. In the east, towering mountains that were tens of thousands of feet tall stood there. Ferocious beasts were densely packed in the mountains. One of the tallest mountains was tens of thousands of feet tall. It was like a giant sword that towered into the sky. The peak of the mountain was very flat, as if it had been flattened by an axe. And right in the middle of the mountain peak, there was a black light door suspended in the air. This door was oval in shape and looked more like a space crack. It was pitch black inside. Swoosh! Several figures descended on the mountain peak. It was the fire python Qin Feiyong and the other 3. The fire python pointed at the light door and said, This is the entrance to the 4th level. Qin Feiyong and the other 3 looked up. Qin Baishan's pupils constricted and he said, This is not a teleportation door. It's a space-time teleportation channel. Space-time teleportation channel? That's the space-time law. Qin Feiyong asked. Yes. Qin Batian nodded and looked at the fire python. Has this space-time teleportation channel always existed? I didn't know before, but ever since I became the guardian of the 3rd level, this channel has always existed. The fire python said. To be able to fix the space-time teleportation channel here, his cultivation must be quite impressive. And his comprehension of the space-time law has also reached the peak. There was a trace of envy in Qin Baishan's eyes. He also grasped the space-time law, but compared to the person who set up this space-time teleportation channel, he was thousands of miles away. Qin Feiyong said, With your comprehension, it's only a matter of time. I hope so. Qin Batian smiled slightly. The fire python said, Then I'll send you here. You guys have to be careful from now on. Thank you. Qin Feiyong bowed. Frenzy, Qin Batian and Lu Zhongyang also bowed to the fire python. Because the fire python had taken care of them all these years, it was worthy of their respect. Go. If you encounter the fire dragon, you must kill it. And that old man and young man, when you kill them, take my share too. The fire python said. Don't worry. Qin Feiyong nodded and then said, By the way, Brother Fire, can the restrictions of the blood demon race be removed? The fire python was stunned and asked suspiciously, You mean to remove the restrictions on their cultivation? Qin Feiyong nodded. I can do it now. But I don't dare to, because you also know that the ones who restrict the cultivation of the blood demon race are the big shots above. If I make the decision on my own and help them remove the restrictions, then I don't need to say what will happen to me. The fire python smiled apologetically. It's okay. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, There's one more thing. My master is now on the 2nd floor. I'll have to trouble you to send him back to the ancient world. The fire python nodded. Qin Feiyong smiled slightly, then took a deep breath and turned to look at the space-time teleportation channel. Let's go. As his voice fell, the 4 of them stepped into the channel at the same time. My brother, you must come back alive. The fire python muttered and then disappeared without a trace. Chapter 2984. A black area of nothingness seemed to be boundless. This was the space-time teleportation channel. Inside, A storm swept in all directions, emitting a world-destroying aura. Qin Feiyang's group of 4 shuttled through the storm. This is the storm that the fire python mentioned? Looking at the storm around them, Qin Feiyang's expression was extremely solemn. It told you before? Madman was suspicious. It told me when we came back from Great Qin. The storm here can kill all creatures below the imperishable realm. But now that I've seen it with my own eyes, it's even more terrifying than what it said. Even a half-step imperishable realm expert might lose their life if they're not careful. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Madman nodded. This storm did give him a fatal threat. However, with the protection of 2 peak imperishable realm experts, Lu Zhongyang and Qin Badian, there was nothing to worry about. And here, instead of calling it a teleportation channel, it was better to call it a void space. Because this place was too big, they couldn't see the end of it. A space-time teleportation channel can actually create such a large space. This person's space-time laws have really reached the peak. Qin Badian exclaimed. Madman asked curiously, is it difficult to create such a space? Of course it's difficult. Creating space is already the highest profound of space-time laws. I don't even dare to think about it now. And the space here is quite stable. Without reaching the peak, it's impossible to do this. Qin Badian said. With that he waved his hand, and a surge of divine power surged out, blasting toward the void on the left. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang. The space here didn't have any traces of distortion. Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other. Even a perfect imperishable stage powerhouse was unable to cause this space to tremble a bit. Time passed breath by breath. Boom! Crack! Suddenly, in the void on the right there was a loud bang. What's going on? Qin Feiyang's group of 4 were surprised. Sounded like the sound of a battle, but why were there people fighting here? Go and take a look? Madman asked. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded. Inside the space-time transmission channel there were actually battle fluctuations. No matter how one looked at it, it was a little strange. Qin Badian and Lu Zhongyang looked at each other. Their faces were also full of curiosity. Then they turned around in the air and brought Qin Feiyang and Lu Zhongyang through the storm, rushing toward the place where the sound came from. About 10 breaths later, the fluctuations became clearer and clearer. Qin Feiyang and the other 3 finally dared to conclude that those were the fluctuations of a battle. Were there really people fighting here? Then who could it be? A creature from hell? Or was it someone from the 4th floor? However, none of the creatures of the Nether King's hell had reached the imperishable realm, so they probably weren't creatures of the Nether King's hell. Based on this analysis, there was a 90% chance that it was someone from the 4th level. A while later, Qin Badian, Qin Feiyang, and Lu Zhongyang's eyes suddenly trembled. What is it? Frenzy was suspicious. This aura, Qin Feiyang murmured. Qin Badian and Lu Zhongyang were also full of surprise. What's wrong with this aura? Frenzy frowned. Qin Feiyang suddenly roared. That's right, this is Old High's aura. Qin Badian and Lu Zhongyang also immediately sped up, killing intent flashing in their eyes. Old High. Frenzy became more and more suspicious. Lu Zhongyang said in a deep voice. This Old High was one of the people who came to the Great Qin in the morning and kidnapped you. I see. Frenzy nodded in realization. No wonder Qin Feiyang was so angry. One had to know. This was the hatred of stealing one's wife. They couldn't live under the same sky. That's not right. They left in the morning, and it's already night time. Why are they still in the space-time transmission channel? Frenzy was surprised. I don't know. I don't care about this either. Qin Feiyang shook his head, staring at the void in front of him, his eyes filled with killing intent. Another few dozen breaths passed. The battle fluctuations were so terrifying that even Qin Feiyang's group of 4 couldn't get close. What should we do? Qin Badian asked. What's so great about a half-step ruler? Now, even heaven-defying divine artifacts like the Sunset Divine Bow can kill them. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. That's right, there's nothing here. We can fight without any worries. Frenzy nodded. Clang! The Sunset Divine Bow, Sky-Breaking Halberd, Shield of Thick Earth, and 7-Star Staff appeared. The Sunset Divine Bow and other heaven-defying divine artifacts were the first to follow Qin Feiyang, and they were also the first to enter the land of origin. Their current strength was almost at the level of a low-stage ruler. Boom! The 4 heaven-defying divine artifacts awakened and respectively protected Qin Feiyang's group of 4. The 4 of them continued forward. The 4 heaven-defying divine artifacts could also sense the killing intent in Qin Feiyang's heart, so they were also prepared to fight. Finally, 2 figures entered the 4's line of sight. One of them was wearing a white robe and holding a horsetail whisk. Who else could it be but Old Hai? But at this moment Old Hai's body was covered in injuries. You can actually injure him? Qin Feiyang's group of 4 found it unbelievable, and immediately looked at the person who was fighting with Old Hai. It was also an old man. But the difference was, this old man was slightly shorter, only about 1.5 meters tall. However, although he was only 1.5 meters tall, he was not as thin as Old Hai, and his body was extremely strong. His upper body was exposed, and the bulging muscles were filled with explosive power. His red hair was also like flames, and he was also wearing a fiery red robe. His face was glowing, and his spirit was hale and hearty. But this old man also had many injuries on his body, and their strength seemed to be equally matched. Boom! Woo-woo! Old Hai's body was surrounded by a space-time storm, which was formed by the space-time law. The red-haired old man's body was also filled with the power of law, competing with Old Hai's space-time law. This seems to be. Qin Batian looked at the power of law around the red-haired old man in surprise and murmured, "Time law. This is the time law. And this person's time law has also reached the great perfection realm." Lu Zhengyang nodded. Who the hell are these people? They're all so abnormal. Frenzy was shocked. Who cares who they are? Qin Feiyang scanned the surroundings, looking for the figure of the purple-robed young man, but he couldn't find him anywhere. Where is he? Qin Feiyang frowned. At this time, Old Hai and the red-haired old man also noticed Qin Feiyang's group of 4. The two couldn't help but stop and look at Qin Feiyang's group of 4. And Old Hai's expression suddenly froze. The red-haired old man couldn't help but have a trace of suspicion between his brows. You know them? Suddenly, the red-haired old man looked at Old Hai and asked. That's right. Do you see that young man in white? He's Qin Feiyang. Old Hai said. It's him. The red-haired old man looked at Qin Feiyang with a look of surprise in his eyes. You don't even know what Qin Feiyang looks like, and you're here to stop this old man? Old Hai sneered. The red-haired old man coldly snorted, and the time law rolled out and blasted towards Old Hai. He shouted, Qin Feiyang, the person you want to find is in this old man's space god object. Qin Feiyang immediately looked at Old Hai. Since the purple-robed young man was in his space god object, then the mermaid princess must be there too. Clang! He grabbed the sunset divine bow, and the sunset divine bow suddenly burst out with divine light. Swoosh! The next moment, a golden arrow shot towards Old Hai, carrying with it an aura that could destroy the heavens and earth. Old Hai didn't care at all. A mere heaven-defying divine weapon wanted to hurt him? What a pipe dream! But the next moment, his eyes trembled, and he turned to look at the sunset divine bow in surprise. The red-haired old man was also shocked. How could this heaven-defying divine weapon be so powerful? It had surpassed the limit of a heaven-defying divine weapon. Clang! Old Hai waved his hand, and a terrifying space-time law suddenly appeared and blasted towards the red-haired old man's time law. At the same time, he waved the horsetail whisk in his hand, and a monstrous divine power appeared and blasted towards the arrow. Crack! A sovereign divine weapon was indeed extraordinary. Although the sunset divine bow was now so powerful, it couldn't compete with a sovereign divine weapon. The arrow instantly shattered. Whoosh! Following closely, the monstrous divine power blasted towards Qin Feiyang and the other 3. At the same time, the two powers of law also collided, and it was still a tie. Not good. But looking at the divine power rushing towards Qin Feiyang and the other 3, the red-haired old man's face changed. He was about to rescue them, but he found that Qin Feiyang's expression didn't change. The red-haired old man couldn't help but have a trace of suspicion in his eyes. Seeing that the divine power was about to arrive, accompanied by a loud clang, the ancient castle appeared. This is. The red-haired old man was shocked. It was actually a sovereign divine weapon. How could a mere person from the lower realm have a sovereign divine weapon? Moreover, he keenly discovered that this ancient castle seemed to be somewhat different from the other sovereign divine weapons. Boom! As soon as the ancient castle appeared, it woke up on its own, and divine power surged out. The two divine powers collided with a loud bang, and a destructive wave of air instantly erupted. The ancient castle immediately shone down with divine light, protecting Qin Feiyang and the other three, as well as the sunset divine bow, and the other 4 heaven-defying divine weapons. Madman said, "It seems that if we want to kill him, the ancient castle will have to take action. You guys go to the Black Tortoise world first." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent the 3 of them and the 4 heaven-defying divine weapons to the Black Tortoise world. Then, he took a step forward and charged towards Old Hai with the ancient castle. He said, "I didn't expect to meet you so soon. Now, can you still threaten me with the people of Great Qin?" "Humph!" Old Hai coldly snorted. The law of space and time emerged, and a black hole appeared around Qin Feiyang. Not bad. It wasn't just one black hole but dozens, hundreds. One had to know. Back then, Long Zun could only evolve one black hole. But this Old Hai could evolve it as he pleased. One could imagine how terrifying was this person's attainments in the law of space and time. Chapter 2985. Numerous spacetime black holes emitted a terrifying aura as they tore Qin Feiyang apart. It was as if they wanted to tear him apart and destroy his soul. However, under the protection of the ancient castle, Qin Feiyang was not injured at all. Clang! On the contrary, the ancient castle released a monstrous aura that shattered the spacetime black holes one by one. "It really is a sovereign weapon," the red-haired old man murmured. The more he thought about it, the more incredulous he felt. Even on the 4th level, sovereign weapons were very rare. However, a young man from the lower world actually had a sovereign weapon. It was unbelievable. "What you did to us in the morning, I will make you pay back double." Qin Feiyang's eyes were cold. When he thought of the tears that the mermaid princess had shed before she left and the deaths of the people of the 9th district, his heart felt like it was being stabbed by a knife. "An ant wants to overturn the heavens?" Old Hai sneered coldly. His third profound ability, the spacetime storm, appeared. Not just one, but hundreds of spacetime storms crazily roared toward Qin Feiyang. Clang! The ancient castle shook violently as a destructive aura erupted. The spacetime storms immediately disintegrated. "Is that all you've got?" Qin Feiyang shouted coldly. The ancient castle suddenly expanded like a mountain and suppressed Old Hai. "You think you're invincible after playing with you for a while?" Old Hai's eyes flashed coldly. The horsetail whisk suddenly flew out of his hand, and rays of dazzling divine light erupted. Boom! The 2 sovereign divine weapons clashed, and the void instantly dimmed. A terrifying and destructive wave of air gushed out in all directions like an avalanche. Qin Feiyang was not in danger under the protection of the ancient castle, but his eyes were a little serious. This person also had a sovereign weapon and was much stronger than him. It would not be easy to kill this person. As for the red-haired old man, he began to stand aside and watch. Qin Feiyang glanced at the red-haired old man and said, "Ancient castle, please change the battlefield." Clang! The ancient castle shook violently, and time instantly stopped. That's right. This was the ancient castle's law, time stop. In an instant. Whether it was the horsetail whisk, Old Hai, or the red-haired old man, they were all frozen in the void. It was also at this moment that the ancient castle charged into the distant void with the horsetail whisk. So what if he's a half-step sovereign? Qin Feiyang made a prompt decision and summoned the sunset divine bow, and the other 10 heaven-defying divine artifacts. That's right. The 10 heaven-defying divine artifacts had all appeared. From this, it could be seen that his killing intent towards Old Hai did not leave any leeway. "Kill him for me!" Qin Feiyang roared. The 10 heaven-defying godly weapons were instantly awakened and charged toward Old Hai. Following the departure of the ancient castle, the time stop also disappeared. The red-haired old man looked at this scene with a slightly stunned expression. These 10 heaven-defying divine artifacts had actually surpassed the limit of heaven-defying divine artifacts. What was going on? Old Hai's face sank slightly. It seemed that he had underestimated this young man's strength. Clang! Rumble! In the blink of an eye, the 10 heaven-defying divine artifacts arrived in an instant. At this critical moment, a majestic power of the laws of space and time emerged from Old High's body, forming a barrier that sealed off the surroundings. Boom! The 10 heaven-defying divine artifacts attacked, accompanied by a series of loud bangs, but the barrier formed by the laws of space and time was actually intact. Qin Feiyang was dumbstruck. What was going on? The red-haired old man said, "This is the fourth profound ability of the laws of space and time, the space-time domain indestructible." The space-time domain, Qin Feiyang muttered and frowned. But he's only a half-step sovereign in the end, while the 10 heaven-defying divine artifacts in my hands are already at the level of a low-stage sovereign. Do you really think his cultivation is only at the half-step sovereign level? The red-haired old man said. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Haha, Old Hai laughed and looked at Qin Feiyang mocking. How can an ant like you see through this old man's true cultivation? True cultivation, Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. You think you can defeat this old man by letting the ancient castle take away my sovereign divine artifacts, but you don't know that by doing so, you're hastening your death. Because if the ancient castle is still here, this old man really can't kill you. Boom! As Old Hai's voice fell, an even more terrifying aura suddenly erupted. Qin Feiyang didn't know how strong it was because he knew almost nothing about the Sovereign Realm experts. But he could clearly feel that the Sunset Divine Bow and the other heaven-defying divine artifact spirits were trembling in fear at this moment. What an ignorant ant! Old Hai shook his head and mocked, and space-time black holes once again appeared around Qin Feiyang. The terrifying tearing force instantly drowned Qin Feiyang and the 10 heaven-defying divine artifacts. Qin Feiyang, we can't hold on. The 10 heaven-defying divine artifacts protected Qin Feiyang, but cracks began to appear on their bodies. The situation was precarious. Old thing, did you forget about this old man? But at this moment, the red-haired old man who had been watching by the side suddenly attacked. Clang! Accompanied by a deafening sound, a 3-foot-long sword appeared. This long sword seemed to be made of magma. With the appearance of the long sword, the sharpness of a sovereign realm divine artifact swept out in all directions. The next moment, the long sword arrived behind Old Hai. Old Hai hurriedly dodged, but his body was still torn apart by the sharp sword. However, his torn body instantly healed, and then he glared at the red-haired old man and said angrily, "You're despicable. No matter how despicable I am, I'm not as despicable as you. You actually ran to the lower realm to capture people." The red-haired old man waved his hand, and the long sword slashed toward Old Hai again. Old Hai's pupils shrank, and with a wave of his hand, a space-time crack appeared. With this old man here, do you think you can escape? Time stop. The red-haired old man pointed his finger, and the time here once again stopped. Following closely, the long sword slashed toward Old Hai. A scream suddenly sounded. Old Hai's body was immediately shattered in the void, and his soul was destroyed. Qin Feiyang was stunned. A half-step sovereign realm expert died just like that? The sovereign realm was too far away for him. Therefore, at this moment, seeing a sovereign realm expert die with his own eyes, he found it hard to accept. However, the red-haired old man's eyebrows did not waver at all. He released his divine will and instantly locked onto a part of the void. Immediately, he raised his old hand and grabbed at the air, and a small boat-shaped spatial divine item appeared. Looking at this spatial divine item, Qin Feiyang's eyes suddenly lit up. Clang! He grabbed the sky-breaking halberd and slashed at the divine boat. With a loud crack, dazzling sparks shot out from the void. The divine boat immediately shattered in the void, and 2 figures fell out. Wasn't it the purple-robed young man and the mermaid princess? Feiyang! The mermaid princess exclaimed in surprise. Qin Feiyang was also very happy, and immediately rushed toward the mermaid princess. Stop! The purple-robed young man's voice suddenly sounded. He grabbed the mermaid princess's neck, and his eyes were full of malice. Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened. Only now did he notice that the mermaid princess was no longer breathing, and there were still some traces of blood on her lower abdomen. It was obvious. Her sea of qi had been destroyed. You're courting death. Looking at the bloodstains, Qin Feiyong suddenly burned with anger, and the sky-breaking halberd emitted a destructive aura. Didn't you hear me tell you to stop? Otherwise I'll kill her. The purple-robed young man shouted. However, as soon as he finished speaking, time stopped again. Obviously, the red-haired old man had attacked. Qin Feiyong rushed forward, hugged the mermaid princess, and directly raised the sky-breaking halberd, and cut off one of the purple-robed young man's arms. At this moment, the red-haired old man also stopped time. Ah! The purple-robed young man suddenly covered his shoulder and howled. Qin Feiyong glanced at the purple-robed young man, then looked at the mermaid princess in his arms, and said, I'm sorry, I've let you suffer so much. It's okay. The mermaid princess shook her head and lay in Qin Feiyong's arms. Her tears instantly wet Qin Feiyong's chest. Qin Feiyong's heart ached. Staring at the purple-robed young man, he gritted his teeth and said, Don't worry, I won't let you die so easily. Destroy his sea of qi for me. The sunset bow was shot, and an arrow sank into the purple-robed young man's sea of qi. His sea of qi was also shattered. The purple-robed young man roared, Bastard, do you know who I am? How dare you hurt me? Do you know how much you'll have to pay for this? Even if you're the son of the god of creation, I'm not afraid. Qin Feiyong smiled sinisterly. With a thought, the white-eyed wolf and a group of fierce beasts appeared and shouted, Torture him to death. Bastard, how dare you come and steal little Qin Zi's woman? You're fucking immortal. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf immediately roared and pounced on the purple-robed young man. Immediately. That was where the miserable screams came from. Clang! At this moment, the castle returned, but the horsetail whisk was nowhere to be seen. Qin Feiyong looked at the castle and asked, Where's the sovereign divine weapon? The castle did not answer and directly returned to the Black Tortoise realm. Qin Feiyong frowned and couldn't help but look in the direction of the battle between the castle and the horsetail whisk. Don't look for it. If the sovereign divine weapon wants to leave, you can't stop it. The red-haired old man smiled faintly. Qin Feiyong turned to look at the red-haired old man. The red-haired old man smiled kindly. Qin Feiyong took out a spirit sea pill and put it in the mermaid princess's mouth. Then, he turned to the red-haired old man and bowed. Thank you for your help, Senior. Thank you, Senior. The mermaid princess also bowed. The red-haired old man looked at the two and asked, Looking at your clothes, you seem to have just gotten married? Yes. In the morning we had just gotten married when these two people came. Not only did they attack us, but they also hurt many people of the Great Qin Empire. Qin Feiyong nodded. I can't believe they would do something like breaking up a couple. They're indeed a group of inhumane people. The red-haired old man shook his head. Who exactly are they? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. The red-haired old man sighed. They have a strong background and the force behind them is even stronger. Even I have to be wary. Are they that scary? Qin Feiyong frowned. Let's put it this way. The force they belong to is one of the strongest forces in the Sky Cloud realm. The red-haired old man thought for a moment and said, Sky Cloud realm? Qin Feiyong was stunned. Chapter 2986. The Sky Cloud realm is the fourth layer you speak of. After the red-haired old man finished speaking, he waved his hand, and the long sword returned to his body. Sky Cloud realm, Qin Feiyong murmured. The red-haired old man looked at Qin Feiyong and said with a smile, Actually, this old man has to thank you. Thank me? Qin Feiyong was taken aback. Yes. This old man and he have been fighting here for a whole day, but because our strength and cultivation are equal, and we both have sovereign divine weapons, we have been unable to determine the winner. And your arrival has undoubtedly broken this balance. So this old man can quickly kill him. The red-haired old man laughed. No. It is this junior who should thank senior. If it weren't for senior stopping him here, I don't know how long it would take for me to save my wife. Senior, please accept my and my wife's 3 kowtows. After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he and the mermaid princess looked at each other, and then bowed deeply to the red-haired old man 3 times. You know how to repay kindness. You are a good young man. The red-haired old man nodded. Senior, you flatter me. Qin Feiyong shook his head and sighed. I can't even protect my own woman. What kind of good am I? You don't have to be like this. Your strength still needs to be tested. After all, you are still so young. The opponent you are facing this time is not something your place can compare to. Facing these two people, not to mention you, even in the entire Sky Cloud realm, there are not many who dare to go against them. So, you dare to face them head-on and kill their subordinates. This courage is not bad. The red-haired old man smiled slightly. Are they really so strong? Qin Feiyong frowned. Of course. As one of the strongest forces in the Sky Cloud realm, any order from them can shake the Sky Cloud realm. The red-haired old man nodded. Qin Feiyong and the mermaid princess looked at each other. It seemed that this time they had really encountered a strong enemy. The mermaid princess said, "Then Senior's origin must not be simple. Why do you say that?" The red-haired old man chuckled. "When you killed Old Hai, you didn't even blink. Furthermore, you don't seem to be worried in the slightest. Therefore, Junior, your origin is definitely not inferior to theirs." The mermaid princess said, "Little girl, you're very smart." The red-haired old man smiled. "Senior, you flatter me." The mermaid princess waved her hand. "Yes. Indeed, the power that this old man belongs to is not weaker than them. Furthermore, both of us are in a relationship of mutual fear." The red-haired old man nodded. Qin Feiyong asked suspiciously, "Then why did Senior come to intercept them?" "Because we received news that they left the Sky Cloud realm. As enemies, we naturally have to come and see what they are up to. But I never thought that I would get to know the two of you." The red-haired old man smiled. "It's us who are climbing up the social ladder." Qin Feiyong blushed with shame as he shook his head. He bowed and said, "May I know Senior's name?" "It's just a name. It's not worth mentioning. If you don't mind, you can call me Elder Hua." The red-haired old man smiled faintly. "Greetings, Elder Hua." Both of them bowed in unison. The red-haired old man nodded and then looked at the white-eyed wolf and the other beasts, asking, "Are they all your spiritual pets?" No. They are my partners, not spiritual pets." Qin Feiyong quickly waved his hand. "Partners?" The red-haired old man was taken aback. "Yes. We have been through life and death together for many years. In this Junior's eyes, they are all Junior's family." Qin Feiyong nodded. "Haha. Treating the beasts as your family, young man, you are indeed interesting. However, just let them be. Don't go too far. After all, the strength behind them isn't simple. Be careful of their crazy revenge in the future." The red-haired old man said, "Revenge? Sooner or later, I will kill them in front of them and make them regret everything they did today." Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed with a cold light. "Your courage is commendable, but you still have to work hard. As for that Old Hai, it will be difficult for you to kill him." The red-haired old man shook his head. "Isn't he already dead?" Qin Feiyong said. "Dead?" The red-haired old man was taken aback and shook his head. "How can a powerhouse of their level die so easily?" Qin Feiyong and the mermaid princess were shocked and said, "Could it be that their divine souls are still in the Sky Cloud realm?" "That's for sure. Otherwise, do you think that the sovereign divine weapon won't care about their life and death?" The red-haired old man smiled faintly. Qin Feiyong's face sank. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and the others and said, "Be more ruthless. Although they wouldn't die, it was good to collect more interest now." "Understood." The white-eyed wolf smiled. Seeing this, the red-haired old man couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. Sure enough, the newborn calf wasn't afraid of the tiger, but it was also interesting. At such a young age, he already had a sovereign divine weapon. His means and character must be quite good. When he entered the Sky Cloud realm, he might really cause some trouble. Qin Feiyong and the mermaid princess didn't continue to ask about the red-haired old man's identity, because from the red-haired old man's tone and attitude, they knew that he didn't want to say too much. If they continued to pester, it would definitely arouse the other party's disgust. A terrifying sovereign realm powerhouse with a sovereign divine weapon. This was something that they absolutely couldn't provoke. "Qin Feiyong, I'm telling you, you're dead," the purple-clothed young man wailed and roared. "You still have the strength to talk." Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and looked at the white-eyed wolf and said, "What are you doing?" Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf immediately became angry and slapped the young man's mouth with his claws. As soon as he opened his mouth, The skin and flesh were immediately torn open. Broken teeth mixed with blood constantly spurted out. "You will all die, I swear." The purple-clothed young man roared with resentment. "You can still talk?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned and roared, "Golden scale sword." The golden scale sword was the golden longsword that once belonged to the golden dragon ancestor dragon. Whoosh! The golden scale sword fell in front of the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf shouted, "Chop him into mincemeat." Clang! The golden scale sword shook and immediately slashed. The purple-clothed young man's body was immediately cut in half. Another slash 4.5. Another slash 8.5. Just like this, the purple-clothed young man was slowly chopped into mincemeat by the golden scale sword. A bit ruthless. Looking at this scene, even the red-haired old man couldn't help but feel a little numb. "Old senior, I'm sorry to let you see such a bloody scene," Qin Feiyong said apologetically. "Which one of us doesn't have hands stained with blood? Besides, people have tempers. It's understandable." The red-haired old man waved his hand and smiled. "Since we met here, why don't we go to the Sky Cloud realm together?" Qin Feiyong was a little hesitant. Little friend is really a vigilant person. "Fine. This old man will take his leave first." The red-haired old man shook his head and smiled, then turned around and disappeared like lightning. The mermaid princess looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously and said, "Feiyong, this person doesn't look like a bad person." Qin Feiyong withdrew his gaze and sighed. "We know nothing about the Sky Cloud realm. It's better to be careful. After we confirm it in the future, we will thank him properly." Chapter 2987. "Boss, this is his." The white-eyed wolf casually threw a Qiankuan bag to Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong caught it in his hand and looked down. "What should we do with this pile of meat?" The white-eyed wolf and a group of beasts surrounded the purple-clothed young man's meat and discussed. "What else can we do? Grind his bones and scatter his ashes." The big black wolf said angrily. Divine power emerged and slowly destroyed the purple-clothed young man's flesh and blood. "Bastard, try to provoke us again." Immediately, a group of beasts ran to Qin Feiyong and the mermaid princess while cursing. "Boss, how is it? Did you find any valuable treasures?" The three black leopard brothers laughed. After rescuing the mermaid princess, not only Qin Feiyong, but they were also in a good mood. "Just some soul stones, divine crystals, some herbs, divine weapons." Qin Feiyong shook his head. But when he said this, he was slightly stunned. Immediately after, he took out a badge from his Qiankuan ring. This badge was the size of a baby's fist. It was overflowing with light as if it was cast from gold foil. There was a divine dragon pattern on it. Everyone looked at the badge curiously. Divine dragon pattern? What was this? Could it be this person's identity badge? But shouldn't an identity badge have a name? But there was nothing on it except for the divine dragon pattern. "Wait," the white-eyed wolf suddenly said in surprise. "Don't you feel that there seems to be a mysterious aura in this badge?" "Mysterious aura?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. "Yes." The white-eyed wolf nodded and released his divine sense to cover the badge. But the next moment, its body and mind trembled as if it had been hit by an invisible heavy blow. It spat out a mouthful of old blood. "Brother Wolf, you." Fire Qilin and the other beasts looked at the white-eyed wolf in surprise. Something's wrong. Seeing the white-eyed wolf's abnormal behavior, Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed. He also tried to release his divine sense into the badge. Boom! Immediately, he felt an imposing aura heading straight for his sea of consciousness. Puff! The next moment, like the white-eyed wolf, his body shook violently and he spat out a mouthful of blood. What's going on? Seeing Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf get hurt by the badge, the mermaid princess and the blood Kirin were shocked. Qin Feiyong wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said in a deep voice, "This badge shouldn't be an identity token." "What could it be?" the mermaid princess asked. "I don't know. However, if this emblem is truly that important, I believe that Old Hai and the others will definitely not let this matter rest. Let's go." Qin Feiyong immediately put away the badge and sent the white-eyed wolf and the other beasts to the black tortoise realm. Then, he took the mermaid princess and used the walk formula to rush in the direction of the red-haired old man. Feiyang, are you worried that they will come for us? The mermaid princess asked. Yes. If they really come, then our situation is extremely bad. So we must leave this space-time portal as soon as possible. Otherwise, if we are blocked by them, we will not be able to escape. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. About a moment later, finally, a crack appeared in front of them. That should be the exit. Qin Feiyang looked at the crack and rushed out like a stream of light. After a few breaths, the two rushed out of the crack with a whoosh. Immediately, a surging ocean entered their line of sight. The sea was endless, the wind was howling, and giant wolves were rolling as if covering the sky. Huh! Qin Feiyang and the other man were astonished. Outside the exit it was actually a sea. Looking down again they found that there was a small island below the sea. The island was only a few miles long. The vegetation was lush, and in the center of the island, there was a towering giant mountain. At this moment they were standing above the mountain peak. Turning their head again, the space-time portal was standing in the void behind them. This is the Sky Cloud realm? The mermaid princess glanced at the magnificent sea around her, her eyes full of surprise. Who is disturbing this emperor's cultivation? Suddenly, an angry roar sounded. With the roar, a monstrous aura emerged from the island below. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess changed their expressions on the spot. This aura was definitely not below Old Hai and the red-haired old man. In other words, this beast was also a sovereign realm existence. They had just entered the Sky Cloud realm, and they had already encountered such a powerful beast. How many experts were there in this land? Making a prompt decision, Qin Feiyang activated the concealment technique, took out the divine moon jade pendant, grabbed the mermaid princess and hid in the void. At the next moment, a black little thing rushed to the top of the mountain, a pair of small eyes angrily staring at the space-time portal. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess were stunned. When they heard the roar before, they thought that it must be a very big and ferocious beast. Because the roar was too loud, it shook the blood in their body. But now what ran up was a chopstick-sized rabbit. Its whole body was covered with white fluffy hair. His two dark eyes seemed to be extremely intelligent. Not only did it not look fierce, but it also looked very cute. Is this the owner of the roar? The couple looked at the little white rabbit with curiosity written on their faces. No one. The little rabbit murmured. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. That's right. This is its voice. Be careful. Suddenly, the little rabbit released its divine sense and shrouded the mountain peak. We won't be discovered, right? The mermaid princess said worriedly. With the divine moon jade pendant we won't. Qin Feiyang nodded confidently. However, before his voice fell, the little rabbit's eyes turned and looked straight at the place where the two of them were. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. They were discovered? But that was impossible. The divine moon jade pendant could block all searches and spies. You think you haven't been seen? What an idiot. The little rabbit suddenly showed a look of disdain. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess were stunned. They were really discovered. Come out, don't let this emperor make a move. If this emperor makes a move, then you will have to prepare a coffin. The little rabbit stood up on its hind legs and spoke in an overbearing manner as if it was an old man. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess looked at each other and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Then, they turned off their concealment technique and appeared in front of the little rabbit. The little rabbit looked at the two of them, then looked at the divine moon jade pendant in Qin Feiyang's hand and said indifferently, so it's made of heavenly domain divine stone. No wonder you are so bold and dare to stand in front of this emperor so openly. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Didn't we still not escape senior's eyes? What a joke. Why don't you look at this emperor's cultivation? How can a mere heavenly domain divine stone escape this emperor's senses? The little rabbit smiled disdainfully, then looked at the two of them and asked, You should be from the lower realm, right? Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess looked at each other. The little rabbit said, Are you wondering how this emperor knows? The two of them nodded. Because of your ignorance. The heavenly domain divine stone can indeed hide your aura, but it can't escape the search of a dominator. The little rabbit said, What? Qin Feiyang was shocked. This matter almost all the creatures in the Sky Cloud realm know, but you still use the heavenly domain divine stone to hide it in front of this emperor. What does this mean? Isn't this the same as bearing the fact that you are from the lower realm? The little rabbit pouted. Thank you, Senior, for the reminder. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands. This didn't seem very important, but in fact it was related to their life and death. Because if they didn't know this in advance and used the divine moon jade pendant to hide when they encountered a strong enemy, it was tantamount to courting death. Remind? The little rabbit was slightly stunned and frowned. Are you stupid? Is this emperor reminding you? Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. Today is really a bit lively. First it was those two old men, and now it's you. Those two old men are strong. This emperor can't keep them. But you too. Speaking of this, the little rabbit's eyes suddenly flashed with a fierce light. Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank and hurriedly said, We didn't mean to disturb. I hope Senior can forgive us. Yes. This is the first time we came to the Sky Cloud realm, so we didn't know you were cultivating here. If we have disturbed you, I hope Senior can forgive us. Mermaid Princess also hurriedly apologized. The little rabbit raised her eyebrows and said, Just a word of forgiveness and you want to solve the matter? Then what do you want? Qin Feiyang asked. His tone was a bit impatient. Isn't this looking for trouble? This isn't your private territory. Why can't others come here? What do I want? The little rabbit smiled playfully, and a terrifying pressure suddenly rushed towards the two. The two's body shook, and a mouthful of blood rushed to their throat. Don't go too far, Qin Feiyang said angrily. So what if I'm bullying you? If you want this emperor to forgive you, take out the good wine. Don't tell me you don't have wine on you. The little rabbit said. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Mermaid Princess was also stunned. Good wine. What is this? Could it be that this little rabbit is also a drunkard? The little rabbit said angrily, What's with your eyes? Are you looking down on this emperor? The pressure intensified. No, Qin Feiyang hurriedly shook his head and said, You should have said so earlier. Isn't it just wine? What's the big deal? The little rabbit was taken aback and asked, Listening to your tone, you also like this? Yes, in this world other than my wife, wine is something I like. Qin Feiyang hurriedly nodded. Mermaid Princess looked at Qin Feiyang strangely. Why don't you blush when lying? Who doesn't know you don't drink? Wait. The people of the Sky Cloud realm didn't seem to know. Really? The little rabbit looked at Qin Feiyang. More real than real gold. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then why didn't you say so earlier? If you said you were a kindred spirit, why would this emperor make things difficult for you? The little rabbit retracted its power and said with a smile, Tell me, what good wine do you have? Qin Feiyang was about to speak. The little rabbit said again, I'm warning you, don't be like those brats a while ago, giving this emperor a few jars of trash, even using it to rinse my mouth. This emperor feels uncomfortable. A while ago? Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked suspiciously, Which brats? They also came from the lower realm. The little rabbit said. Chapter 2988. They're from the lower realm? Qin Feiyang and the Mermaid Princess looked at each other. Could it be Li Feng and the others? Qin Feiyang asked, May I ask what they look like? The little white rabbit said, 2 humans and a heaven-defying divine artifact. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the figures of Li Feng, the mysterious young man, and the gray castle appeared. It's them. At first, they said that it must be a peerless divine wine, but when I drank it, it tasted like horse urine. I was so angry that I beat them up. The little white rabbit sneered. Beat them up? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Li Feng was not that strong, and even the blood ancestor could not protect him against the little white rabbit. Moreover, although the gray castle was a heaven-defying divine artifact, it could only be beaten up by the little white rabbit. However, the mysterious young man was unfathomable. He had always been the one beating others, but the little white rabbit beat him up too? This surprised him a little. It was also a pity that he could not see the young man being beaten up. Then where are they? Qin Feiyang asked. Of course, they're thrown into the sea to feed the fish. The little white rabbit said indifferently. Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. He did not know if it was true or not, but it should not be so. Why do you have so many questions? Can you hurry up? The little white rabbit frowned. obviously starting to get impatient. This, Qin Feiyong began to feel troubled again. He definitely had wine. Even if he did not have it on him, there were plenty in the Black Tortoise world. He originally planned to take out some wine to fool them, but when he heard that the young man and the others were beaten up, he could not help but feel a little guilty. He did not care about himself, but the mermaid princess could not be beaten up with him. Hurry up, are you testing my patience? The little white rabbit frowned and made a fierce look, but in the eyes of Qin Feiyong it was extremely cute. The mermaid princess said, I guess only the immortal wine can satisfy it. I think so too. But only Huai and Miss Immortal Wine have it. Where can I find it now? Qin Feiyong was helpless. If he had known earlier, he would have dragged Huai along. Young master, I'll give it a jar of immortal wine. The voice of the five-clawed golden dragon suddenly sounded in Qin Feiyong's mind. They were all watching from the Black Tortoise realm, so they knew what was happening outside. Qin Feiyong stared blankly and hastily asked, You have the immortal intoxication? Yes. Before I left, I took a lot from Huai. The five-clawed golden dragon said. Qin Feiyong slapped his head. How could he forget that this guy was also an alcoholic? He quickly transmitted a message to Qin Feiyong. You are truly my savior. Quickly give me a jug. The next moment, a jar of heavenly immortal wine appeared in front of Qin Feiyong. It looked funny, because with its small body, it couldn't hold the wine jar with its two claws. This jar of immortal wine was also unopened. The little white rabbit looked at Qin Feiyong and said, Kid, don't fool me, or you will have to go to the sea to feed the fish. I don't dare. Qin Feiyong waved his hand. The little white rabbit waved its paw and opened the wooden lid of the wine jar. Originally it didn't have much hope. How could a person from the lower realms have any good wine? But, the moment it was opened, its eyes popped out. This wine aroma was too intoxicating. It couldn't wait to take a sip and immediately revealed an intoxicated expression. This immortal wine can be eaten in the sky cloud realm? Looking at the little white rabbit, Qin Feiyong couldn't help but mutter. Originally he didn't have much confidence, because the immortal wine was a peerless divine wine, but this was the sky cloud realm. The sky cloud realm was stronger than the ancient realm, so there must be a lot of peerless divine wine. So in his opinion, the immortal wine might not be able to please the little white rabbit. But now, looking at the little white rabbit's reaction, it didn't seem to be what he thought. Not bad, not bad. Finally, I've encountered a decent jar of wine. The little white rabbit drank a few more mouthfuls and nodded with a smile. It's good that you like it. Qin Feiyong laughed. The little white rabbit looked up at Qin Feiyong and asked coldly, Is there more? Qin Feiyong was stunned and shook his head. This kind of wine is already a rare treasure in our lower realms, so I only have one jar. Really? The little white rabbit didn't believe it. Qin Feiyong nodded. The little white rabbit frowned. Why don't I believe it? If you don't believe me, you can check my universe ring. Qin Feiyong said. Do you think I'm stupid? Why would you put such a good wine in a universe ring? If you want to put it, you should put it in a space divine object. The little white rabbit said. Qin Feiyong smiled embarrassedly and said, Is this wine really good? The little white rabbit nodded and said, Even in the sky cloud realm it's considered the best. Qin Feiyong nodded and then glanced at the mermaid princess. If Miss Fairy comes here to open a restaurant, she will definitely make a lot of money. The mermaid princess could not help but laugh. Don't flirt in front of me. Is there more? I like honest people. The little white rabbit looked at the two with a fierce light in her eyes. Qin Feiyong was about to speak. Boom! Suddenly, in the distant sea, two powerful auras rolled out. And Qin Feiyong immediately looked up with a trace of surprise in his eyes. One of the auras seemed to be the sovereign divine weapon, the horsetail whisk. The other aura was even stronger than Old Hai and the red-haired old man. It seems that it's as you expected. The mermaid princess's face also sank slightly. The little white rabbit saw the changes in the expressions of the two, and a light flashed in her eyes. Your enemy? Qin Feiyong looked at the little white rabbit's eyes and felt that something was wrong. He smiled and said, We just came to the sky cloud realm. How could we have any enemies? Is that so? The little white rabbit smiled faintly. Qin Feiyang felt bitter in his heart. This little rabbit was really more clever than a ghost. In his heart he was quite anxious. He had to leave immediately. Senior, the wine has been given to you. Can we go now? Qin Feiyang asked. Don't worry. The little white rabbit waved her paw and stopped the two, saying, Since it's not an enemy, what are you afraid of? We are not afraid. Qin Feiyang said. Don't pretend. What kind of people have I not seen? Do you think you can hide this from me? Let's talk about the conditions. The little white rabbit said disdainfully. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and said, Please say it. I will help you escape their pursuit, and as a reward, give me another 100 jars of this wine. The little white rabbit patted the wine jar and said, You are a bit dishonest. How can you take advantage of a burning house? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Who told you to lie to me? The little white rabbit snorted and said indifferently, They will be here soon. You choose between the wine and your life. Qin Feiyang looked at the mermaid princess, and the mermaid princess also looked helpless. Qin Feiyang said, Little Gold, how much wine do you have? I only have 200 jars in total. I pestered Hui for a long time to get it. The five-clawed golden dragon said with a little grievance. He definitely had to take out this wine, otherwise Qin Feiyang would be in danger. But he really couldn't bear to. I know how you feel now, but don't worry, when there is a chance in the future, I will definitely get you some divine wine of the Sky Cloud realm. Qin Feiyang said. The five-clawed golden dragon said, This is what you said. I will remember it in my heart. I said it. Qin Feiyang responded and looked at the little white rabbit. Okay, I will give it to you. Originally they could have bargained, but there was no time for that now. You really lied to me. The little white rabbit glared at Qin Feiyang, and with a wave of its claws, the two were sent to an unfamiliar place. This was a stone room. It was closed on all sides, but the space was quite large. It should be several miles away. It was in this stone room that Qin Feiyang and Li Jia finally saw what a real drunkard was. In this huge stone room, more than half of the stone room was piled up with wine jars. There were at least hundreds of thousands of wine jars, and none of them were opened. This little rabbit, it is even more exaggerated than Hui and Little Gold. The mermaid princess shook her head and laughed. And this place must be the little rabbit's spatial divine item. It actually used a spatial divine item to store wine? This was the first time they had encountered such a thing. Boom! Not long after Qin Feiyang and the little white rabbit disappeared, two streams of light broke through the sky and landed on the mountain peak. One of them was a horsetail whisk. The other was an old man in blood-red clothes. With blood-red hair and blood-red robes, he looked like he had just walked out of hell. His murderous aura was monstrous. Yo! Isn't this the old man from the Western continent? Why do you have time to come here? The little white rabbit glanced at the old man in blood-red clothes and said indifferently. The old man in blood-red clothes looked at the little white rabbit, snorted, and flew straight toward the space-time crack with the horsetail whisk. What are you doing? What are you doing? Do you think I don't exist? Have you forgotten the rules? The little white rabbit swished and stopped in front of the space-time crack. Looking at the old man in blood-red clothes, a cold light flashed in her eyes. The old man in blood-red clothes snorted and took out 100 wine jars, threw them to the little white rabbit, and rushed into the space-time crack without looking back. Hee! The little white rabbit grinned. With a wave of her little paw, the 100 wine jars immediately entered the stone room. These are the rules. Qin Feiyang looked at the wine jars in a daze. Even these have to follow the rules. Looks like it's extraordinarily strong. The mermaid princess said. Little girl, you're quite perceptive. The little white rabbit suddenly appeared in front of the two of them. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, Senior, who exactly are you? Guess? The little white rabbit twisted the wine jar and drank while looking at Qin Feiyang playfully. I can't guess. Qin Feiyang shook his head. If you can't guess, shouldn't you at least pretend to guess? You're such a boring person. The little white rabbit shook her head and looked at the mermaid princess. She shook her head and said, Little girl, why do you like him? He's just a piece of wood. The mermaid princess smiled helplessly. That, Senior, don't try to sow discord between us, okay? Qin Feiyang was speechless. Who's in the mood? If it weren't for the 100 jars of wine, I wouldn't even bother with you. The little white rabbit looked at him with disdain. Yes, yes, yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Suddenly his expression changed. He looked at the mermaid princess and said, "They didn't find us in the space-time tunnel. Will they go to the Nether King's hell, or the Great Qin Empire?" The mermaid princess' expression changed when she heard this. With the strength of these people, if they went to the Great Qin Empire, wouldn't they cause a lot of trouble? Chapter 2989. The two of them were worried. I'm curious. What did you guys do? Even that old thing came to look for you personally? The little white rabbit looked at the two of them suspiciously. We didn't do anything. They came to look for us on their own initiative. Qin Feiyang said. Is that so? That's strange. The little white rabbit muttered. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, took out the badge and asked, Senior, do you know what this is? The little white rabbit glanced at the badge, and her eyes seemed to be glued to it, unable to move away. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess looked at each other, and their hearts couldn't help but tremble. It seemed that this thing was really extraordinary. The little white rabbit put down the wine jar, took the badge with a solemn face, and looked at it for a while and asked, This thing, where did you get it? We snatched it from a young man in the space-time transmission channel. Qin Feiyang said. Young man? The little white rabbit was stunned. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the phantoms of the purple-robed young man and old high condensed. So it's them. I'm curious. Why did I only see the sovereign divine weapon come out and not them? It seems that they have died in your hands. The little white rabbit looked at the two of them and said. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Amazing. You can even kill them. The little white rabbit was surprised. We killed the young man, but the one called Old High was killed by another old man. Qin Feiyang said. The little white rabbit asked, That little old man? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Interesting. The little white rabbit raised the corner of her mouth, looked at the two of them and said, I'm really curious. Who are you people? To be able to make them come down personally. We're just ordinary people. I really don't know why they want to find trouble with us. Qin Feiyang also had a look of annoyance. Looking at Qin Feiyang, the little white rabbit's eyes flickered. Suddenly, there was a hint of surprise in the little white rabbit's eyes. Then with a wave of its paw, a streak of divine power swept out and sliced Qin Feiyang's wrist at lightning speed. Streams of blood immediately flowed out. Senior, you. Qin Feiyang looked at little white rabbit in shock and anger. Shut up. Little white rabbit coldly shouted, staring at the blood on Qin Feiyang's wrist. What is it doing? The mermaid princess was suspicious. Who knows? Qin Feiyang pursed his lips. Suddenly, the little white rabbit exclaimed, This is actually purple gold dragon blood. What? The expressions of Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess changed. How could the little white rabbit recognize the purple gold dragon blood? One had to know. After taking Qin Beishan's elixir, the purple gold dragon blood had changed greatly. He had wandered the ancient realm for many years, but no one had recognized him. But now, this little white rabbit actually saw through it in an instant. What was going on? So that's how it is. This emperor understands. Little white rabbit nodded in realization, then threw the badge to Qin Feiyang, grabbed the wine jar and continued to drink. Qin Feiyang caught the badge and asked suspiciously, What do you understand? I understand why they are targeting you. Little white rabbit said. Why? Qin Feiyang hurriedly asked. If you give this emperor another 500 jars of wine, this emperor will tell you. Little white rabbit joked. 500 jars? Qin Feiyang's face darkened, and he shook his head. No. Then there's no other way. Little white rabbit shook his head. Qin Feiyang was quite anxious in his heart and said, Senior, look at this junior couple. We just came to the Sky Cloud realm and are unfamiliar with the place, and we are being chased by these experts. You should kindly tell us so that we can be mentally prepared. Little white rabbit pondered for a moment, and shook his head. Kid, don't say that you don't have wine. Even if you do, this emperor can't tell you. Why? Qin Feiyang frowned. If I tell you, it won't be fun. Don't ask anymore. There are some things that you will slowly know. Little white rabbit said. Qin Feiyang helplessly said. Then you can at least tell me the origin of this badge. You can also investigate this by yourself. But there is one thing that this emperor can tell you. This thing is a hot potato. I advise you to throw it away long ago. Little White Rabbit said. Hot potato, Qin Feiyang muttered. Little White Rabbit looked at the two and said indifferently, as for the problem that you are worried about, you don't have to worry about it now. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang and Little White Rabbit were suspicious. Little White Rabbit said playfully, they can't go to the lower realm now. The two looked at each other and wondered. Why? Why are you asking so many questions? If this emperor says that they can't go, then they can't go. You will know in the future. Little White Rabbit waved his paw and said impatiently. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded. Although he didn't know why, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. As long as they couldn't enter the lower realm. Boom! This time, the two auras appeared again. Little White Rabbit waved its paw, and a picture appeared in the void. It was the blood-red clothed old man and the horsetail whisk. The blood-red clothed old man stood in front of the space crack and looked around. He frowned slightly and said, they must have entered the sky cloud realm. Go back immediately and send people to search the sea area. Since they have entered the sky cloud realm, then the little rabbit that is guarding here should know where they went, right? Do you want to go and ask it? The horsetail whisk let out an old voice. Go and find it? This old man doesn't want to stick my warm face to its cold butt. The blood-red clothed old man snorted coldly and disappeared with the horsetail whisk in an instant. At least he has a little self-awareness. Hearing the conversation between the blood-red clothed old man and the horsetail whisk, Little White Rabbit smiled coldly. Senior, looking at them, they seem to be afraid of you? Qin Feiyang asked curiously. Of course. This emperor's strength is not bragging. With just a few punches and kicks, I can send them to the Western Paradise. Little White Rabbit smiled proudly. Qin Feiyang and the Mermaid Princess looked at each other. Is it true? Little White Rabbit said. Don't talk nonsense. Quickly give this emperor the wine. Qin Feiyang shook his head. With a thought, 100 jars of immortal wine appeared. Not bad, not bad. Little White Rabbit released its divine sense. After checking one by one, it nodded in satisfaction and said, seeing this wine and you calling me senior, this emperor will give you a way out. Thank you, senior. The two of us are all ears. Qin Feiyang quickly cupped his hands and thanked it. The blood-red clothed old man clearly wanted to seal this sea area. Without Little White Rabbit's help, it would be really difficult to escape. Keep going east. As this emperor expected, there should be someone helping you. Little White Rabbit smiled mysteriously. Keep going east, Qin Feiyang muttered. All right, we'll meet again if fate wills it. With a wave of its hand, Little White Rabbit sent Qin Feiyang and Little White Rabbit out. Mermaid Princess scanned the surrounding sea and asked, Feiyang, do we really have to keep going east? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and thought to himself, I think it shouldn't need to harm us, let's just listen to it. All right. Mermaid Princess nodded. Qin Feiyang lowered his head to look at the badge in his hand, and muttered, is it really that hot? It was impossible to throw it away. This thing must have an extremely important meaning, and it might be useful in the future. Then, Qin Feiyang then kept the badge, took out 2 illusory form Dan and said, just in case, let's change our appearances. Yes. Mermaid Princess nodded and took the illusory form Dan. The two of them quickly changed, and in the end, they turned into a middle-aged man and a middle-aged woman. Following that, the two of them entered the Black Tortoise realm, changed their clothes, and flew towards the Eastern Sea area hand in hand. Quite cautious. However, in front of them, it's useless. It seems that the Sky Cloud realm will also be lively. Little White Rabbit stood in the spatial divine object and watched Qin Feiyang and Little White Rabbit leave. The corner of her mouth lifted slightly, and she pursed her lips into a playful smile. Chapter 2990. The sea stretched as far as the eye could see, and the waves were turbulent. But in the sky there were white clouds floating, like a fairyland in a painting. Above the sea, Qin Feiyang took the Mermaid Princess, using the walk formula, and moved as fast as lightning. Of course, along the way, they didn't forget to appreciate the scenery of the Sky Cloud realm. After all, it was their first time here, and they were full of curiosity about everything here. First of all, the essence chi of the sky cloud realm was quite rich. It could be said that even a place like the ancient realm was not even 1/10 as rich as the sky cloud realm. Secondly, the sea beasts here. Their strength was quite terrifying. The beasts that Qin Feiyang encountered along the way were almost all in the imperishable realm. This really confirmed what the small beast had said before. In the 4th level, there were as many imperishable realm creatures as dogs. Although they were prepared, Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess were still shocked when they saw it with their own eyes. Half a month later, the two passed by an island. The island was not big, and there was a group of sea beasts on it. The weakest was at the 9th heaven realm, and there were a few sea beasts that had just reached the imperishable realm. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess did not disturb them and took a detour. You two wait. But suddenly, a voice sounded in the sea below. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess were taken aback and quickly looked down, only to see a figure rushing out of the waves and landing in front of them. It was a bearded man about 1.9 meters tall with a bare upper body, looking burly and full of a valiant aura. Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess looked at each other and couldn't help but be vigilant. But at the same time they were very happy. After walking in the sea for half a month, they finally met a living person. Because it was urgent that they quickly figure out the specific situation of the sky cloud realm. The bearded man looked at the two, and a trace of joy gradually crept into his eyes. He bowed and said, I'm Luo Tianshan, and I came to talk to you rashly. I hope you two can forgive me. It's okay. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. May I ask your names? The bearded man asked. The mermaid princess was about to speak. Qin Feiyang grabbed the mermaid princess and looked at the bearded man. He smiled and said, he's just a nobody. He's not worth mentioning. The bearded man was taken aback. He quickly apologized. I was rude. I'm fine. What's the matter, brother Luo? Qin Feiyang was curious. Luo Tianshan hesitated for a moment before he nodded and said, there is indeed something that I would like the two of you to help me with. It's fate that brought us together. Brother Luo, feel free to speak your mind. So long as it's within my ability, I will definitely not refuse. Qin Feiyang smiled. Brother, you're really a straightforward person. Luo Tianshan laughed. But then, he quickly stopped talking and turned his head to look at the island not far away. He said in a low voice, gentlemen, this is not the place to talk. Please follow me. After saying that, he flew to the left. Qin Feiyang and Luo Tianshan looked at each other and couldn't help but look at the island. That was the island that they took a detour to. And just now, Luo Tianshan's laughter clearly indicated that he was afraid of something. And the thing that he was afraid of was on the island. But on this island, other than the sea beasts, there didn't seem to be anything else. Could it be? What was on the island that made this person envious? Brother. Luo Tianshan couldn't help but call out in a low voice when he saw that Qin Feiyang and Luo Tianshan didn't follow. Yes. Qin Feiyang quickly responded and said to the mermaid princess, we're new here. Be careful, especially my name. Don't let it slip. You suspect that they're old Hai's men? The mermaid princess secretly said. Whether they are or not, it's always good to be cautious. Qin Feiyang said. Even if they weren't, they couldn't expose it. Because this sea area had been blocked by old Hai's forces. If he said his name and Luo Tianshan leaked it, it would bring trouble. Okay. The mermaid princess responded. Immediately, the two flew toward Luo Tianshan. Luo Tianshan didn't ask anything else and flew straight ahead with the two. Brother Luo, where are we going? The mermaid princess was suspicious. Luo Tianshan pointed ahead and said with a smile, there's an island ahead. Let's go there and talk. So far? The mermaid princess was stunned. Madam, you don't know about this. I think Brother Luo must have companions, and they are now on the island that Brother Luo mentioned. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Luo Tianshan was slightly stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Brother, how do you know? The mermaid princess also looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Of course she knew about Qin Feiyang. She had never seen Luo Tianshan before, so how did she know that he had companions? It's very simple. If it's just to chat, there's no need to go so far. Because we can communicate through voice transmission. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Luo Tianshan was stunned for a while before he came back to his senses. He gave a thumbs up and said with admiration, "Brother, you're a smart guy. You flatter me." Qin Feiyong waved his hand. Luo Tianshan shook his head. He was too modest. Then he looked at the mermaid princess and said with a smile, "Your husband is right. I do have a few companions on that island. Now I'll take you to see them." After that, he turned around and continued to lead the way. But when he turned around, he couldn't help but frown slightly. Would such a smart person ruin his plan? At the back, the mermaid princess looked at Luo Tianshan and said through voice transmission, "Feiyong, to be honest, your brain is really admirable. You can even think of this. It's not as exaggerated as you say. This is my experience. It's just that you rarely venture outside, so there are some things that you haven't thought of." Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. The mermaid princess said, "Then I'll always follow you and explore the heavenly cloud mountain? Aren't you always following me now?" Qin Feiyong looked at the mermaid princess suspiciously. "What I mean is, I don't want to stay in the black tortoise world. I want to stay by your side." The mermaid princess said, "Is there a difference?" Qin Feiyong was stunned and said, "If you stay in the black tortoise world, you'll still be by my side. Of course there's a difference. We're separated by the black tortoise world." The mermaid princess pouted. Qin Feiyong was stunned. Separated by the black tortoise world? Hearing this, why did he feel like laughing? Although they were separated by the black tortoise world, entering the black tortoise world was just a matter of thought. There was no distance at all. "I don't care. I'll keep an eye on you from outside, lest you take advantage of my carelessness and run off to flirt with other girls." The mermaid princess hugged Qin Feiyong's arm. Flirt with other girls? Hearing this, Qin Feiyong couldn't help but smile bitterly. "My dear wife, don't you know me? Am I that kind of person?" That's not necessarily true. The heavenly cloud world is full of outstanding people. There must be a lot of beautiful girls. When the time comes, you might fall in love with someone at first sight. The mermaid princess said. Okay. It's up to you. I also want you to stay by my side." Qin Feiyong reached out and hugged the mermaid princess's waist. The mermaid princess blushed and said angrily, "What are you doing? There's someone here. What's there to be afraid of? I'm hugging my own wife. Why should I be afraid of others talking?" Qin Feiyong pursed his lips and then asked in a low voice, "My dear wife, we don't seem to have consummated our marriage yet, right?" The mermaid princess's delicate body stiffened, and her cheeks turned even redder. "It's all because of those two bastards. They ruined our good thing," Qin Feiyong angrily said. He chuckled and said, "My dear wife, when do you think we should make up for this?" The mermaid princess's cheeks couldn't help but heat up. She rolled her eyes at Qin Feiyong and said, "What time is it now? And you're still thinking about these things? My dear wife, I don't agree with this. We've gone through the wedding ceremony. We're a real husband and wife. Isn't it normal for a husband and wife to think about this? Let's talk about it later. If we count according to the time in the black tortoise world, I'm already an antique that has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. But even now, I'm still a virgin. It's embarrassing to talk about it." Qin Feiyong's face was full of grievance. "This shows that you're a good man. What's there to be embarrassed about?" The mermaid princess was speechless. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "Shouldn't a good man be rewarded? Then tell me, what reward do you want?" The mermaid princess asked helplessly. "Come here." Qin Feiyong pointed at his face. "You." The mermaid princess blushed and glanced at Luo Tianshan in front of her, then quickly kissed Qin Feiyong's face. "Thank you, my dear wife." Qin Feiyong immediately hugged the mermaid princess. Luo Tianshan heard the sound and turned to look at the two hugging together. He chuckled and said, "You two are really a married couple." He thought that the two were already an old married couple. After all, Qin Feiyong and the mermaid princess were now middle-aged. But he didn't know that the two had just gotten married and were still in the state of being newlyweds. Naturally, the feeling was different from that of an old married couple. Of course, Qin Feiyong laughed and put down the mermaid princess. The mermaid princess stared at Qin Feiyong, then looked at Luo Tianshan and said apologetically, "Brother Luo, I'm sorry." It's okay. We're all experienced people. I understand." Luo Tianshan waved his hand and then said, "But I really envy you." "Envy us?" Qin Feiyang and the mermaid princess were stunned. Yes, it's said that when people reach middle age, the relationship between husband and wife will become family. This sentence is indeed true. Because many of my friends are like this. When you first fell in love and got married, it was quite fresh. But as time passed, it slowly became dull. But the two of you have been in the state of being in love for the first time. It's really rare. Luo Tianshan smiled and turned to continue leading the way. Qin Feiyang pulled the mermaid princess and followed behind him unhurriedly. Feiyang, suddenly. The mermaid princess transmitted her voice. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang looked at her in confusion. The mermaid princess murmured these words. He said, "What are you thinking about? No matter how much time has passed, no matter how the future changes, my feelings for you will never change." Qin Feiyang said, "Really?" The mermaid princess raised her head and looked at Qin Feiyang, blinking her bright eyes. "Yes. Look at my father and mother. They can be considered as an old married couple. But now aren't they still stuck together like glue?" Qin Feiyang said. "Seems to be true." The mermaid princess nodded. Although she didn't spend much time with the emperor couple, she usually looked at each other with eyes full of love. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.